Good evening. Tonight, something feels familiar. Not calm, not stable, but familiar. Like we've seen this pattern before. The choke point goes dark, and then just like that, it's back online. A ceasefire is announced, but nobody really believes it's peace. Scientists vanish, headlines flicker, and then the story drifts just out of reach. We're told this is chaos, unpredictable, dangerous, but is it? Or is it maybe sequenced? Because the world watches the surface while everyone argues over the latest clip, the latest outrage, the latest distraction. Something else is locking into place quietly, efficiently, permanently. Surveillance powers are being extended. No debate. Very little resistance. The only resistance we see is us keyboard clackers and microphone yappers, digital wallets. Inevitable. I hate to say it. Every transaction shall be accounted for. Think about that. Artificial intelligence, not just watching, but nudging, guiding. Who knows how far that goes? Sci-fi people, you know. And somewhere in between war drums and meme cycles and Lego videos, between propaganda dressed as entertainment and entertainment dressed as propaganda, the system begins to close. Not with a bang, but with a login screen. You don't need to force control if people walk into it willingly. You don't need to hide the system if it's sold as convenience. And you don't need to explain escalation if everyone's too distracted to notice the pattern. Because maybe this isn't a breakdown. Maybe it's a rollout. A series of escalation scripts running in parallel while the digital chains are quietly fastened. And tonight, we're going to do our best to read that script. And the best we can do with that is bring in the Social Rejects Club here at the Boiler Room. I'm your host, my call sign's Hesher. This is Bryan McClain, broadcasting live out of Central Texas on this April the 17th of 2026. I've got a great roundtable set up for you tonight. I'm going to bring Mr. Rick Terscale to the stage first here. There he is, the man from thetruthhound.com and Stop the Presses, Rick Terscale. What's up, man? Welcome to the Boiler Room. How you doing tonight?
Very well. In the tradition of my cousins, such as Rex Cars, the Daredevil, and I Fleecem, the banker, I say a hearty hello.
Well, it's wonderful to have you back here in the Boiler Room, sir. It's been a minute, and it's great to see you.
Great to be seen. Much to discuss. Nice intro. We'll tear into it pretty quickly.
Oh yeah, definitely. Sure. Yeah. Let's bring the rest of the crew in here. We've got a another fella that hasn't been here in a few weeks. We got Randy J joining us. Randy J, what's up, man? Welcome back to the Boiler Room. How you doing?
Doing good. Surviving the matrix or the all the pixels that we're all staring at or maybe a part of, just like the next person, and ready to see where we go tonight.
Yeah, man. Great to have you with us. We've certainly got a number of things to cover tonight. That's for sure. Nothing has slowed down. We were hoping the news cycle would slow down this week, but hey, that was pie in the sky. All right, stand by, Randy. I'm going to bring the Croat aboard. We've got Hervore Morch with us from Geopolitics and Empire. What's up, man? It's great to see you.
Greetings from narco country.
Yeah. Any narco wars breaking out lately, or just the usual weekend, road closures and small things?
Not even a joke. A few days ago, right outside the home, our local corner shop, fresh food market, someone was shot in an attempted carjacking. Could have been me,
Oh
but
man,
I got I got Angel watching over me.
that's right. That's right. And good situational awareness as well.
Yes, yes.
That is key. All right. Well, it's great to have you here with us, man. Back in the boiler room. Great to see you tonight. Thanks for joining us. Let me bring the Ruckus among us onto the stage here. Ruckus, what's up? And welcome back to the boiler room.
Howdy. Just glad to be here. How's my volume, by the way? Is that okay? I forgot
Yeah,
to
it
check.
looks good.
All right, because I have to keep adjusting the dials now.
It's
And
хорошо.
from
Very
various,
хорошо.
thank you, various programs that I appear on where the host is incredibly louder than I am, such as Patrick Henningsen and Sam Chaney. But hey, it is what it is. So I eyeballed it back to my normal levels. So I think we're good to go. Sorry, I was also fumbling around back here trying to get a post made on the social medias. You should be following us on the social medias and like and share what I just went through. A bunch of crazy hoops to put out there for you. Sorry, I very rarely have my attention undivided, he says with tongue firmly planted in his cheek. Thank you so much for having me. It's good to have Richter Scale and my good old friend and former colleague from the TNT days, Rory Morich. Hopefully there's more in here somewhere. And of course, as you know, my name badge says, in case you didn't know, I am the president of the unofficial Randy J fan club, and Randy J himself is here, so I'm quite excited. Thanks.
Yeah, man, absolutely. We got a great group brewing, and there could be more people showing up. Shout out to Baze. I don't think he's gonna make it tonight, but he'll be back with us real soon. Yeah, so let's see here. What are we going to break the ice with tonight? How about let's go chimp. I feel like the world is going chimpanzee core here. So tonight, but Ruckus, correct me if I'm wrong. I think you were the one that introduced this one to the Icebreaker suggestion channel. So here we go. Let me put it on the screen for you guys. Hundreds of chimpanzees are killing each other in a civil war. Scientists captured the lethal violence for the first time. There's a freeze frame, chimps chimping out there. They're going ape shit. It says up there at the top, a scenic Ugandan jungle has become a bloody battlefield as two rival chimpanzee clans wage what could be the first recorded primate civil war. The ongoing simian conflict was detailed in a study published April 9 in the journal Science. Quote, chimps from one group began attacking and killing those from the other group, and that turned into an escalated period of lethal violence, says the study author Aaron Sandell, an anthropologist at UT Austin. Wow, Ruckus, how did you come across this? I mean, I guess it's sort of a local article here coming out of UT Austin, but anything else we should know about the chimp wars?
Yeah, that's a great question. How did I find this? This might have been one of these odd ones that pops up on my phone notifications. I get those from both Google and I've got a Samsung newsfeed, and I just see the darndest things. The other possibility is you wouldn't believe the crap I see when I open up my Bing browser. Holy moly, it's nuts. But anyways, so yeah, I don't really recall. I didn't dive too deep into the article because, of course, it was doing the whole. Speaking of tongue in cheek, what any writer was going to do in this instance and make a bunch of like apish puns, I suppose. Go bananas with that. It was just a bunch of the usual monkey business as far as I'm concerned. I think that the anthropological study of primates is allegedly, according to the official mainstream narrative that's pushed upon us by the powers that be, whoever the hell that may be, is that it's some sort of microcosm for human society. So maybe, just maybe, throwing it out there, they're trying to throw some like rage baiting article, and for people to argue and see the word civil war. Who the heck knows, Hesher? But I'm not going to trust the science on this one. I don't believe that photographs and their alleged hearsay evidence is enough for me to suggest that they are indeed engaged in a real civil war, which is a kick in the balls considering there's a real war taking place right now. I'm just saying.
Yeah, just look at them right there. They look pretty happy to me in that picture. I mean, come on, guys. Civil war.
Do we need to ask Grok? Grok, are these apes having a civil war?
Yeah.
And Grok would be like, well, first of all, they're chimpanzees and not apes.
Mm-hmm. Hervoy, what do you think? Is the New York Post and the Texas University Austin, are they projecting human civil war upon the primates to titillate us into more war?
It's the predictive programming for the second American Civil War that's coming. Yeah, it'll look something, I guess, like that. But it made me think. I had a catch-up call with a long-lost friend who's somewhere in America, and he's considering leaving the United Soviet States of America. And he's testifying to me like I couldn't believe it. He says literally everywhere he lives are liberal, like in the bad sense, liberal globalist normies who believe everything the government says. And he says it's really, really bad. I'm like, really? So, I think the propaganda, I haven't been in the US for a long time, but is it so bad?
It's pretty bad, man. Even here in Texas. Mark, what do you think about that, man? You've spent more time in Texas than me at this point. I guess I've been here 10 years now, but what do you think? Oh, you're muted there, man. See if you can unmute that.
Beg your pardon. And the States being a big country, it depends a bit on where you go. There's varying levels of awakeness and sleep. There's always that almost majority or sizable minority that does believe virtually everything they're told. My mom, God bless her soul, the original conspiracy theorist, never really bought the moon landing. And she met a guy that absolutely religiously loved and believed in the moon landing. And she talked to him for a while. And the guy, we heard later, kind of went off the emotional deep end. He had such a fundamental belief in that event that to question it in any meaningful way was bordering on blasphemy. And I guess he really kind of lost it for a while. So it shows you the price of conformity, or the price of unaltered belief in what the state tells you. Because if you finally see the light, it can be a little bit catastrophic. So that's an interesting dimension of that.
Yeah, that can cause great dissonance for folks. Randy J, what do you think, man? What would Jane Goodall say after all of this? I thought, gorillas in the mist and all the fun stuff, dude.
Yeah. Geez, I think I see stuff like this and it makes me think the joke's on us. We're getting into monkeys going at each other and possibly getting worked up about it, or maybe we'll have our own civil war, or we got plenty of wars going on right now. I don't know. I think it's the joke's on us in a lot of ways from the managerial class.
Yeah, it does feel like that pretty much daily lately, doesn't it?
I would add something about that.
Go for it.
Well, me, first of all, I'd like to see the footage. I'd like to make sure that there's not any AI enhancement, to put it
why they not
mildly.
include that?
What's that?
Yeah, I'm curious why they didn't include that. I'd like to see some more than just, typed words on this. I'm sure there's more out there, but as far as what they're showing the public by the New York Post, it's not a lot.
Yeah, the reality, the veracity of the event is always something to check. My humorous part about it is maybe the chimps found a TV set.
Right, like 2001 Space Odyssey moment.
Well, you know what TV does to us, and some of it we don't even realize the damage it may do. But imagine an animal of somewhat lesser intelligence than humans, but certainly not stupid. Maybe they watch the TV just enough to sort of get the picture, pardon the pun, and then they kind of begin to imitate humans. Okay, so they have wars, so let's us chimp have wars too. Just a thought, and an
My
interesting thought
money's on
experiment.
social media over television, Mark, but I like where you're going with that.
Yeah, it's just, behavior is not too hard to understand, even if you don't understand the spoken language. You know, although they might not know what a fighter plane is, but they certainly know what hand-to-hand combat looks like.
Yeah,
Well, it's interesting to go another level with this. The apes from 2001 Space Odyssey got brought up momentarily, but I mean, there's a lot of interpretations of those scenes. That the monolith is basically a screen, sort of like a cell phone nowadays, but back then it would have been like a movie screen turned on its side.
Oh, wow.
And it emits a weird sort of bewitching frequency that they can't quite figure out, but they're enamored by it, and it sort of captures their attention and hypnotizes them almost into a higher state of being. So yeah, pretty wild stuff.
Well, TV, as I understand it, gets past your filter. It gets past your ability, your skeptical layer. There's a component of the television broadcast that gets into your subconscious mind past your defenses. That's sort of the common understanding. And if that's true, and I think it is, believe me, it was designed that way on purpose. Absolutely, positively on purpose.
Right.
I think that the smartphones are, just going to say, I never thought of what you brought up on Space Odyssey, and it literally looks like Black Mirror. I mean, this meme is repeated with Netflix Black Mirror, 2001 Odyssey, and then the Black Cube stuff. I'm not as well versed on that, but like the people who look at the occult stuff related to, what is it in Islam? What's the name? I haven't looked at that in a long time.
the
In Mecca,
Sufism?
right? No, when they go to do the pilgrimage, what's that called again? I forget.
Sure, the meteorite that they all circle and everything. Yeah.
And then the Talmudic stuff, like the black cubes, like you see this, and then this stuff with Elon Musk and Saturn, worship. It's just, I think there's something there.
Mm-hmm. Certainly feels that way.
And let's just think of what's in our face, everyone. Programming, tune in to the channel, make sure you're on the right frequency and whatnot. I mean, yeah. Families gathering around like the damn apes, staring at the screen and receiving the message, the narrative, as you will. And I think a lot of the nonsense and chaos that's going on right now, whether it's designed or not, I heard the fellow one of the Weinstein brothers. There's
Brett or Eric.
Yeah, one of them said he thought that the Epstein scenario couldn't survive contact with the internet age, and I think that applies to like a lot of stuff. And so maybe there's this weird battle going on right now, and I think it's the tension we all feel between, I hate to put it this way, us and them, and that we're sort of at a tipping point of sorts, and they don't have full control of the narrative, but they do. And so that's kind of where we're at right now. Again, just my take on things as they are.
Well, just on that point, I mean, that's something I chatted with Bryan on, and then I watched your Eric Rice appearance, Bryan. The operating system verification. It's kind of to your point. The internet cat was let out of the bag, and then they're locking it down now, and I just can't believe the speed with which I just got my second U.S. number SIM card here for Mexico, because in 2 months they're shutting off my phone because I won't register it,
Oh,
and then there's a new bill in the US again for operating system verification and everything. And technically, Brian Lunduk is great on this. He was explaining even on your smart refrigerators, because they have operating system, they'll have to have age verification for your freaking fridge. It's
oh
just,
my
it's
gosh.
crazy,
Oh, geez. Yeah. And the who was that in the chat here? Banhammer. The sound they used for the monolith monkey scene was like buzzing bees or insects, and the one on the moon with
drones.
a high pitched squeal. That's right. I remember that. Ooh, frequencies. And like I do not dare to like try to analyze Kubrick too hard, because people do make careers out of that and write books about it and stuff. But I mean, just sort of going from memory, last time I watched 2001, it kind of struck me how it was like there was a pattern, not necessarily a pattern, but like an escalation with the introduction of the monolith. It was like at first it made them somewhat more social, but it was like we were saying, like a family around a television, right? And like, I don't know if you've ever binge watched television too long or streaming shows, you can literally feel like the alpha wave phase, after you've sat and stared at it too long. Like, you've it's like you're exercising a muscle you shouldn't exercise too hard. The suspension of disbelief muscle is like worn out and torn at that point, and it kind of like you can kind of see that with the apes, the actors that played the apes in 2001. And then something changes, the monolith frequency changes, and all of a sudden they're doing violence on each other. I mean, at least that's the way I remember it. So maybe they're and why do we see black boxes and black things that look just like these throughout
Probably
history?
deserves another watch, but I would recommend, of course, Bill Cooper's coverage of it. But it really technically was supposed to represent like the advent of some sort of intelligence. They were just dumb, baseless creatures that didn't know up from down. And then this arrived, and suddenly they were smart enough to start working with tools. And then that eventually progressed to some sort of, jealousy or argument. And then that, so there's a lot of symbology wrapped around that kind of idea, very Luciferian, Garden of Eden, knowledge of good and evil kind of thing going on there. But again, there's tons of people out there who have done a million different analysis of this. It's been around for minutes, and there's no question that the film is chock full of symbology. But of course, let us not forget that we're also discussing the same movie that has HAL 9000 in it and all of that, which of course is what we're all living in, unbeknownst to most people, right? Open pod bay doors, Hal. I can't do that, Dave. That's our entire life that we're about to deal with here with these, technocracy control grid things. Sorry.
Ruckus was standing by yesterday while I dealt with HAL 9000. I had to call one of the major cell phone carriers and do some stuff, and they would not let me through the system to an actual human being until I talked with their version of HAL 9000 for a certain amount of time. And it was egregious. It was odious. It was not cool. It was not helpful. But neither were the humans. So I don't know. Maybe it's a zero sum.
In retrospect, I was thinking about it, Hesher. I was like, you know what? That whole thing was almost like I would believe if I wanted to have a conspiracy about it. Is like the humans were so terrible that it was almost like you wanted to go back to dealing with that stupid AI bot, dude.
I kind of did. Like, if it could have understood some of the nuances in my questions, I think I would have rather dealt with it than those blokes in India or Pakistan or wherever they were. I was having a hard time with them.
You don't think Ivan was from Russia?
I don't think Ivan was from Russia for some reason. His accent wasn't really giving me that Moscow vibe. Yeah. Okay. Well, so we've got that. We live in the black mirror. We've got the frequencies all around us, the digital chains. That's the kind of stuff we're going to be getting into tonight. But let me hit this one really quick before we might do a couple of quick ones tonight. Share this tab to you guys. You guys, let me know if in the audience and here in the room, if you're having any audio problems. We're lately been getting some strange audio leak and audio not leak problems. It seems like it leaks when we don't want it to, and I don't know. There's just, anyways, especially you folks in the audience, let me know if I'm playing a clip and you don't hear it. But anyways, this is a sad story right here out of Texas. Energy drink contributed to a 17-year-old cheerleader's death, says a lawsuit. This is out of globalnews.ca. What is that, Canada? The family of a 17-year-old Texas cheerleader has filed a wrongful death lawsuit against distributors of an energy drink, saying that she died from an enlarged heart caused by ingesting large amounts of caffeine. The family of Larissa Nicole Rodriguez, who died in October of last year, 2025, is accusing Alani Nu Energy Drinks and the Texas retailer Glazer's Beer and Beverage that sold her the beverages of inadequately warning customers of serious risks. It goes on to say that she, she purchased and consumed one or more Alani Nu energy drinks, which contain 200 milligrams of caffeine per 12-ounce fluid can. And just for reference, or for comparison, a can of Coca-Cola has 34 milligrams of caffeine. Diet Coke has 45. So, I mean, what is that? Like 5 Cokes, I guess, worth of caffeine? I don't know. I know lots of people that drink 5 Cokes a day and can handle it, but I don't know. That's a sad story there. I wonder if there's anything else in play in the biological system, any sort of, I don't know, let's say pharmacology or, medication or experimental stuff, perhaps. I don't know. Maybe there's more than just caffeine here, but the headline and the person they've got, they have someone in the court talking about it. So, they've got, looks like they have a decent case here. But I don't know. I tend to wonder if something else was in play here. What do you guys think?
Definitely. If you go back a year ago, this past August, not this past August, but the August before that, a cross-country runner in Tennessee named Tristan Franklin, 16 years old, just up and dropped dead in the prime of his life. And then 2 or 3 more cross-country runners in the same vicinity in and around Nashville also literally dropped dead when they were running. And there's a doctor there. She's got a strange name, Dr. English Flack. And she was on the local TV around the time, not long after these deaths occurred, and said, well, we've got to put everything on the table. And she was very cautious and kind of reticent to say it, but then she finally said it, including vaccines, ...
Ooh. ...
And there was that hesitation, but she didn't want to not say it. So she said it as gingerly as she could, like, that's one of many possibilities, maybe vaccines. And so, where is this girl from Texas?
Yeah, yes.
What's strange, and I wish I would have looked it up and not put it on my pile, there was a Rio Grande Valley, I believe, down in South Texas. All of a sudden it popped up that another young athlete had suddenly passed away in a very abrupt fashion. And I didn't follow through with it. I'm going to. When I first heard about what you're talking about now, which I heard about recently, I thought, I didn't hear the Austin part or whatever. I thought maybe it's one and the same thing. Because when I first heard about it, they said nothing about caffeine. but I don't think it's the same person, to be fair. But I'm going to look it up though. So they're cheerleaders, athletes, whatnot. There is precedent for young people in the prime of their lives to just drop dead. And people online and on Facebook at the time of those Tennessee cross country runners were, many of the people chiming in on Facebook were saying, look, we've got to just come clean and face the facts that this could have been caused by vaccines. And I can't directly tie a correlation to it, but right around that time, I found a press release from like a health department that said that a new batch of vaccines had been approved for that area before those deaths occurred. So all I'm saying is there's other news events and other things that have happened over the last year and a half or so that make you think, well, let's think carefully about this. Yes, caffeine can be a strong stimulant. Yes, you can have too much of it. Would it cause death like that? It's not inconceivable, but it does seem rather unlikely.
Yeah. As Free T's pointing out, mysterious increase of 17 different cancers. Totally blinded by science.
Did you notice there's a I'm going to play sleuth now. I did do a little research into this story because I found it interesting and something stood out to me right away. I think you'll catch on. But so first of all, the argument throughout most of the reporting and the court cases, because they're suing the distributor, not the maker. So if the substance is to be blamed, normally, I know before 2020, something like that, or the miracle juice that came out, we would normally go after the stuff, right? Not the person who passed it along, right? Normally, anyways, like
Right.
the Bang Bang stuff, they even want to go after the makers of the Bang Bangs, you know what I mean? So there's a lot of talk about how, like, well, in little fine print, it said this wasn't recommended for children, so they're angry about the distributor and nobody paying enough attention to the fact that this stuff was not meant for the child. Which leads back to one of you guys were saying earlier today, you mentioned a smart refrigerator that might require some sort of age verification. Why? Well, your refrigerator might have some Altani New in it, and your child shouldn't be drinking that because it's not, see what I'm saying? There are a lot of stories and things taking place that ultimately hiding in there somewhere, you can boil it down to some sort of push, or you can see how they want an age verification solution. And I think that cannot be ignored. So I don't know what the actual cause of the poor young lady's death is, but the fact is that it's a story for a reason, because these type of things happen all the time. They even said in some of the reports that I saw that the maker who made Altani New, which has been bought out by Celsius since then, by the way, remember Celsius, yeah. But anyways, that they've had previous lawsuits and issues with their product and stuff, but it's like, I guess it's not gone anywhere. So again, why didn't we hear about that? Why are we hearing about this one? And again, why is it, oh, she shouldn't have been drinking it? So you'll see it in all the news reporting about the age thing. It's not recommended for children. Just pointing it out.
And I'll just add, so I just learned today, again, from a friend, yet another person that I know whose family member died. They were perfectly healthy, and this person's close family member died out of the blue. And it's the person also thinks that it was the magical elixir that is injected into everyone. And it's just, boy, and you made me think, Ruckus, that the age verification stuff is being pushed because as they do digital IDs and digital wallets, and then digital IDs are linked to your travel documents. And then I was reading in some other country, they're making now vaccine certificates digital credentials, so that they'll be able to verify your vaccine status. And I put in this clip that I found that I think it was in the UK. They're talking about MMR vaccines. Possibly they're pushing it to try to make it conditional for school entry. And it's kind of like you think and you listen to these people. Maybe we can play the clip. It's only 40 minutes, but like, how is it normal that you've got this group of government that want to force inject us. Like, how is this normal? It's like, leave me alone. And the way they talk, it's like they talk like gods. Like, no, everyone must be injected with this thing. Like, that alone for me tells me something's off. Should tell any normal person on the street, like, why are they so obsessed with making sure we're all injected multiple times with this thing? So anyways.
Yeah, I mean, if
Care.
it works the way they say it works, it shouldn't matter who takes it and who doesn't. I'm just saying. I got that clip here where let's see.
So we're still off where we need to be around MMR delivery to children. We have made some changes in the GP contract that come into force next week to particularly support general practice in areas where it's very, very challenging to deliver the coverage that we need to see. So some extra incentive to shift the dial up a bit. International comparisons difficult where you see there are some places where there are sort of rules around school entry, for example. But this is a challenge not just in this country.
I'm triggered.
Yeah, what do you think, Randy?
I'm triggered. I remember Patrick a few years ago went on a rant about, and he's spent a lot of time in the UK. They come in with their British accent or their broken Euro British accent, but they're from Belgium or the Netherlands or Germany or whatever, and they break out that sophisticated, learned halls of Oxford bullshit voice out, and then they start, talking like that, and it's like, I guess the rebellious Yankee in me is kind of like, stick it, lady, because she's using words like, damn it, I wrote it down. I can't read my own writing, but like they're curating it or they're dictating it, towards us, like it was alluded to already. Look, no one voted for it, gives a flip, asked for it. It's not an issue. It's not a problem. It's not the closest alligator to the boat. No one cares. Yet they're peddling this stuff and mandating it. And that's the word she used, incentivize. Why do you need to incentivize it? What am I, like a fish after a lure, incentivizing it to bite? Take a hike, lady. And it just gets on my nerves that that's what's allowed to be in charge. Yeah.
And incentivized to who? Because the ultimate recipient of it is probably the most difficult person to incentivize to go get it, right? Like all you've got basically is fear and programming to get a person to willfully go and say, yeah, I want that, or go and allow their, lab coat person that they see to convince them that they need that.
Exactly.
I'm concerned the incentives go to those people in the lab coats, to those, to those people at the news desks. You know what I mean? The incentives go to everyone except the patient, if you will.
Well, the fact that she says we're not getting the numbers that
we need.
Like, who are you to play God over my life? Like, to inject me? And then I was talking to someone today in Europe who told me that it was just one of the these types of injections they're promoting to force upon the population, that again, it's public taxpayer money. So the government pays, I was told, for this injection like 600, like hundreds of bucks, and then that's taken from taxpayer money to inject the taxpayers, and then that money goes to pharma, the industrial complex. I mean, what an absolute scam. So you're taking that money from the population, the massive wealth transfer, giving it to the globalists effectively, and then that money is being used to inject that same population.
And then kind of like a tax refund, back in the day, you used to be able to sue them when you were damaged by their products, and you get back some of the money, but guess where the money came from?
Hey, you know what? I mean, to bring this full circle, synchronicity and all that, I mean, it's not unlike that can of energy drink or food that we seen. I mean, I remember in my own, lifetime here, over time, more things that I can't pronounce on food products that end with like ITE or YCIN or TON, or I mean, just all these scientific things. It's basically sludge,
Drug
and
cards.
yeah, plastic, whatever, made for a company to profit off of, for us to drink. And if you think about it in a very wild and crazy way, then it feeds the legal system because of all the lawsuits and lawfare that goes on. Oh, by the way, it makes people, die early or have complications. Boom, medicine, the whole pharmaceutical and health industrial complex. And yeah, I mean, it's just this big um, profiteering, uh, cattle prodding the populace along with just nonsense. And to me, this vaccine is just more of this, or a vaccine or injection or any of this sort of stuff. It's just all more of the same.
That was a good point I was going to bring up as well. Our food is increasingly insanely poisoned, and I pretty much just I'll just drink like clean stuff like water, coffee, milk, like natural stuff, and then same for food. Fruit, vegetable, bread, meat, and then I used to have a guilty pleasure, cereal. Growing up in America, my Captain Crunch as a kid, uh, Honey Nut Cheerios or whatever,
Fruity
and
Pebbles.
and then back in the day, the ingredients were not as bad. I mean, yeah, sure they were bad, but not like today. And I kid you not, I've tested this multiple times in the past year, where once in the blue moon I will crave half a box. Sometimes I'll eat a 3/4 in a sitting. Like it's for a dinner. It's just one of those Captain Crunch, and it's GMO. It's GMO.
Yep.
And it's crazy how first it was GMO, and then it was bioengineered, and now they've removed it from the box completely. It doesn't say it, and they give you a QR code, and it's like, who's going to take the QR code? And then when you go to the website, it doesn't even tell you right off the bat. I think you have to go a few clicks further. And I did it recently. The two last times. Last time was Honey Nut Cheerios, and then the previous was Captain Crunch. I kid you not. The next day, I was out. It was like I came down with with an illness, and it's got to be that the glyphosate overdose that I just gave myself. And
Yeah.
I said I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore.
Way to guinea pig the cereal industry for us, Roy. That's really nice of you, man. Let me throw this one in here real quick. What's up, Creative Accidents? This is interesting. For people that don't drink energy drinks and just drink coffee, something to think about. A standard 8-ounce or 240 milliliter cup of brewed coffee typically contains approximately 95 to 100 milligrams of caffeine. So therefore, if you're a 2 cups of coffee a day or 2 cups of coffee in the morning type of person, you're literally on the regular taking the same amount as said teenage girl. And now I'm there's differences in body weight, metabolism, age, general health and all that stuff, but still.
And scientists are still questioning, scratching their heads over how Ruckus does it, because he can do up to 2 pots of coffee a day.
Right, so that's like 2,000 milligrams, probably.
And I feel fine.
Yeah, there's no problem. I don't know. I have another clip here that might kind of play into what we're talking about here, but does anybody else want to throw anything out there before I throw this up?
I'll mention that I looked up, and this wasn't what I was looking for, but there was a Jaron Lawson, 16, died in February of this year. A football player, I think, linked to what they're saying was a rare heart condition, hypertrophic cardiomyopathy.
Oh yeah.
Also, my detective sense says very suspicious, worth a closer look.
Yeah. These used to be rare heart diseases seem to be not rare in the last 5 years anymore. And that doesn't seem to be going away. Um okay, let me scroll down the chat a minute here. I got hung up there. How's everybody doing in the Discord? I don't even think I'm on the right Discord room. We have a Discord chat as well if anyone wants to join it. Good to see everybody over there.
You have to verify your age to join your Discord.
Not yet, but you know, we'll see. There may be an sunset
Discord
date.
says that they've socially engineered and know that you're old enough based on what you posted or something. So, yeah.
Well, I have noticed an increasing, just as a side note here, I've noticed an increasing amount of websites. Like, for example, if you're signing up for the VA website or some of, other websites, or even if you're trying to buy like tobacco products online, there's this ID.me and ID.gov websites that are picking up a huge amount of traction. Like they're, if you need to do anything with like TSA or all these different sites now, I kind of feel like it's sort of the foot in the door to the digital ID, because like once you sign up for it, it does make things easier. I will say, I helped someone sign up to the VA recently and had to go through the whole thing, and it's like, dude, they send you to this website, right? Like you sign up for it, they ping your phone. Next thing you know, you're staring in your phone and they're gathering like, 3D video of your face moving around, and then it's a picture of your ID, and you know, super intrusive, quite frankly, but then super convenient once you have it. So, you can just see where this is all going. Like they already kind of have those, when I think those are the same ones you used to do the TSA thing, right? So, back to this whole thing, and that clip that you shared with us, Hervori, there, from NHS talking about MMR. It's interesting to me that stuff like that is like conversations are being framed like that, right? Like they're using strange globalese mixed with, hoity-toity pinkies out language, like Randy J was saying, while videos like this are also making the rounds. This is a Cleveland clinic director apologizing to all of his patients. So this one's kind of interesting. Throw this on the screen here.
So these are my big issues regarding vaccines, and these are the things that I'd like to highlight. Number one, there is no education in medical schools that I am aware of, and being an educator at the Cleveland Clinic Lerner College of Medicine and Case Western Reserve University, I am not aware of education around vaccines, their contents, safety records, informed consent, or the Vaccine Injury Compensation Program. We do not discuss that in 1986, Congress enacted legislation removing all liability from pharma related to vaccine adverse events. What are we taught about vaccines? We are taught to memorize the vaccine schedule. And actually, I'm going to be sitting for my family medicine boards this year, and I am sure that I will have to memorize that schedule again in order to pass that exam. We don't discuss that almost $4 billion with a B has been paid to vaccine-injured patients since 1992. For medical professionals, we expect fair balance, but vaccines seem to be absolved from that consideration. Number two, there appears to be a conflict of interest regarding payments to providers for completing vaccine schedules. And a corollary to that, which would be number three, patients are being dismissed from practices because of quote unquote vaccine safety concerns. If you bring up a question about a vaccine and you decide not to vaccinate your child, you may be at risk of being terminated from that practice. Absolutely deplorable and disgusting. Number 4, and again to the Bailey family, I'm really sorry, but employers are forcing employees to receive the flu vaccine or face corrective action or job loss. And the fact that your dad was 6 months from retiring is... Number 5, there's a lack of informed consent. And I was one of those providers who didn't provide safety sheets before vaccinating. I would tell the parents, these are the vaccines today. We're going to give you 3 vaccines in one leg and 2 in the other. And then after vaccinating either the child or the adult patient, here's your information sheet. And again, to be completely transparent with you, I had no idea that there was even a mention of the compensation program or a telephone number to call. Absolutely deplorable on my part, and I apologize.
Well, we'll quit that one right there. I can't watch this guy be sad and apologize anymore. I think we get the point, though. So there, I don't know when that was from, but it certainly hits hard these days when people are talking about this phenomena that we are.
Got a little more info.
All right, Mark, what you got?
Well, besides Jaron Lawson, the San Antonio football player, there was Gage, Gage Brumal of Odessa, Texas, young athlete, same sort of thing, September of 2025, and a Samson Reyes, March of 2026, mid-teens athlete at Rock Springs High School. These are all Texas youth teenage deaths within the last 3/4 of a year, let's say. And there's another one in the one that's in my neck of the woods was a soccer player, Ethan Dietz, Dietz, Edinburgh, Texas, which is about 15 miles from where I live. That was January of this year. So they keep blaming it on miscellaneous cardiac conditions and different things. You detect evasion, though. I strongly detect evasion on this seeming regularity of young teenage athletes in the prime of their lives dying. And dying suddenly.
Yeah, and this is not new. You know what I mean? This has been going on since late 2021, basically. And the numbers in totality worldwide are shocking. We're just looking at a recent Texas story here and then expanded that to a few other recent Texas stories because I think we're all smelling a load of bull honky on the caffeine being the only factor here, put it that way.
It's even possible they're floating caffeine as sort of a dodge or a decoy. I'm a put everything on the table kind of guy, so I'm going to look at the caffeine thing like it could be true in some limited instances, but also that it could be a cover story, something that they can kind of turn to when other explanations don't work.
Yeah. One of many,
Favre
right?
Jr. leads the charge to, we're going to remove caffeine from all the drinks.
Well, you need a digital ID to get a caffeinated drink, perhaps. Would not be surprised at all. All right, so enough about that. So the Strait of Hormuz is back open, right? Question marks. Is this true? This is the latest I'm hearing, at least. I'm hearing it's open, but the thing is, it sounds when you hear it from the Trump administration, it sounds a certain way, and when you hear it from other sources, it sounds like a little bit of a different way. The actual timeline, I had to look at international news to see a timeline that made any sense to me, and it still looks dodgy as all get out. But it looks like maybe if everybody can behave, there might be 10 days at least of ceasefire here. At least that's what I was able to glean before we went live.
Unfortunately, one of the parties involved is that our greatest ally in that region, and they're the ones that everybody, all eyes on you. Behave, buddy, behave.
Yeah. Yeah. What about you, Roy? Have you heard anything about this today? I know you've been kind of off comms. You've been doing pods all day, but any motion on this one on your side?
Are we talking about Persia?
Yes, Strait of Hormuz back open, we think.
So the day-to-day minutia, the play-by-play of this missile went there and then that went there. And it's like, for me, that's all a lot of noise, not signal. And it's kind of, you guys are alluding to, it's difficult. It's the fog of war. There's so much propaganda. I've seen many other fellow analysts complaining about how it's difficult, even for us now who have been doing this for many years, to understand what's going on. I mean, Nicolo Soldo, he's a fellow Croatian. He's got a big Substack following. In his second to last Substack, he was saying the same thing. Like, so many people are confirming that given all the madness that's going on, it's becoming so difficult to wade through the noise. On top of that, you've got paid influencers, paid pipers in alternative media. You've got the AI stuff. It's so difficult to figure out. And so for me, the big signal is, and I'm seeing more and more people discuss this, is and what I've been saying for a long time, Bretton Woods 3.0. So basically, the big picture for Iran is, well, number one is the cyber polygon that they've warned us about. Israel had war gamed this cyber attack, I think, in 2021 with some of the Bretton Woods infrastructure, if I'm not mistaken, like IMF. Klaus warned us of cyber polygon. I posted this article, CNN Politico's talking about cyber attacks coming from Russia and Iran, and coupled with the Strait madness. And so I think all of this is about rejiggering us to the new. I think this is a tectonic shift that's once in a lifetime. What we're about to witness. It's like a 1971 moment or a 1944 moment. I think this is what is upon us. And that's the big picture. So a lot of people, here's an article I was just reading, and here's the summary. This is, he says, the banksters need another Bretton Woods conference, a new global financial system, because in the current trend line, they will never get the Fed-created credit back to the baseline, which saw great prosperity. This is why Agenda 2030 and their great reset of global financial markets and even the great taking have been proposed using a system involving digital ID, programmable digital currency, global surveillance, so on and so forth. I mean, isn't it weird? The reports, Financial Times reported that Iran will be charging the toll in Bitcoin. And then it seems like that was pulled back now. You see what I'm saying? That's a perfect example.
Yeah.
FT said they'll be charging the tolls in Bitcoin, and then the ships will be given only a few seconds. Like, it takes me a day to, it takes me a long time to figure out how to do the crypto. Like, how can you do that instantly, such mass amount? And then it was Decrypt reported that some crypto intelligence firms are skeptical about that. And then why would Iran use the, globalist created Bitcoin to then, by them using it, they're actually creating demand for this new Bitcoin tether dollar and helping the empire grow? Like, it doesn't, none of it makes any sense. So I'm trying to look at the bigger signal here.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me welcome Mystical Pharaoh to the broadcast here. He was running for his headphones, so I'm not sure if he's quite ready yet, but he is definitely on deck if he's not here yet. Yeah, it's really there he is. What's up, man?
Hey guys, yeah, I don't have my headphone yet, so just give me a few minutes.
All right, yeah, we'll wait for the big picture to light up there, and we'll bring you back on. But yeah, man, it's so. We were talking about that last week. I think we even named the show around that topic. That signal to noise ratio is just like, it's buzzing so hard. I mean, it's like we're on the moon base monolith 2001. It's the really high pitch one.
It's like we drank a million Alani News.
Right? Whole 12 pack of them or something. Yeah. So okay, here's as far as I can tell, pretty much the way it went down. And this had a lot to do with Lebanon, actually. The agreement includes West Jerusalem's right to take all necessary measures in self-defense, quote unquote. Okay, so let's not forget that. Um, you're not hearing that on Fox about this, right? The 10-day ceasefire between Israel and Lebanon entered into force today on Friday, with U.S. President Donald Trump insisting that Hezbollah is part of the agreement, although Hezbollah um, although the armed group had boycotted peace talks with Israel as futile. So more dissonance. The IDF, the IOF, renewed their operation in Lebanon in early March after Hezbollah fired rockets and mortars at Israel in support of Iran. It says at least 2,196 people have been killed in Lebanon and 1.2 million have been displaced. That's pretty nuts. As Israel carried out airstrikes on Beirut and other cities and issued sweeping evacuation orders in an effort to expand its quote unquote security zone in southern Lebanon. Iran, which reached a 2-week ceasefire with the U.S. and Israel on April 8th, has listed an end to the Israeli campaign in Lebanon as one of the key conditions for a permanent peace deal. So at what is that? Right at let's see. Early today, Hassan Fadallah, a Lebanese MP from Hezbollah's loyalty to the resistance bloc, told Al Madin that Iranian officials would monitor the implementation of the ceasefire by Israel and the U.S. Late yesterday, without explicitly recognizing the U.S. mediated deal, Hezbollah released a short statement saying that a ceasefire must include a comprehensive halt to attacks across all Lebanese territory, with no freedom of movement for Israeli forces, and a return to the situation prior to March 2nd. So you can already see right there, like the way the U.S. is framing it, it's like, yeah, they're going to give us. Trump's also making comments like they're going to give us their uranium, like just stuff that is not jiving with what we're hearing from the other side. So that's that's about as far as I'm willing to go with the timeline on this ceasefire thing, because I'm already just finding all the hallmarks that like this looks like more Trojan horse, like reload time, or double tap, wait for a good double tap time, wait for a good sneak attack time. I have very little faith that I mean, I hope the fighting stops for 10 days so people can get a breather at least, but I don't think the U.S. and Israel are really going for peace here. Does anybody?
I actually agree with. I have my mic now. Do I sound okay?
Yeah, you sound all right, man.
All right, cool. I actually agree with you. I think the statements that came out today from Trump are always like crazy, like social posts. It's completely against everything that Iran came out and say. Right, number one, they're going to give us the nuclear dust, right? Which they said they're not.
Yeah, right.
They are opening Strait of Hormuz like forever, right? Which is that's not what they say. They say they are opening it until that ceasefire expires, which is going to expire in what, like 2-3 days?
Yep.
Right. So I think he's gaslighting. That's my guess. That's my hunch. And he's gonna like throw like a last minute wrench in it and say, hey, they are not following what they told me, and I'm gonna just bomb the shit out of them. And I think they are planning on that too. Like they are reloading, as you said. I think it's both sides are just stacking up and reloading, waiting for the next thing to happen. But I don't think anybody believes that this is gonna hold.
Yeah.
I'll also just add, I just I can't get enough of Peter Gabriel's last album and the song "Buying Time." I think playing for time. On top of what you guys are saying, I think they're also playing for time, buying time, because what I said earlier, we're looking at the next tectonic shift and world order, and it's the governments aren't running the show; it's the suits in the background, the corporates. And I think there are a lot of deals being done behind the scenes to determine the routing of which transport routes go where and pipelines through which way and 15-minute cities that are being built. And so I think in the background, these deals are being made, which then are going to possibly determine, politically where things go. So
Well, Bilderberg just took place in D.C., so there's a strong chance that a lot of those back deals are being negotiated at that time and in that place. Which is only being covered in the alternative and under independent media by like 2 or 3 people, which is crazy.
yeah, Dan Dix. I'm forgetting their names already. I've had him on my podcast. I can't remember now. The curly-haired guy that was with him and two others. Yeah, that's about it. Yeah. And they couldn't glean much. I mean, the sad thing is, all they could really do was film who was coming in and out. And it was weird because in the past they were able to get a few words out of the Bilderbergers. Nobody spoke to them this time. It was pretty wild. I don't know if you guys saw Dan Dix's coverage.
Yeah. Yep. It certainly has changed the whole scene. Like, it used to be a pretty big thing in alternative media when Bilderberg would happen. I haven't heard Alex Jones talk about it in years. Mark.
Well, Alec, I can't stop pointing this out. I used to show Endgame Blueprint for Global Enslavement to my students in the classroom, and he's like, "We know we're down with your North American Union," and now Alex Jones is like, "Yes, let's regime change Venezuela to incorporate it into the TechNate and install biometric digital ID accounts." I'm like, what?
Somebody needs to show Alex Jones those videos.
There we go.
Yes.
There we go. Yeah, he needs to go back and rewatch his own movies. My goodness. I think just this week he finally got off the Trump train too. It took a direct insult.
Next week he'll be back.
Yeah.
Next week he'll be back.
I don't know about that. I'm not buying it.
I think he kind of had to have the appearance of that at least because it's like a mutiny in the audience.
Yeah. I think you're absolutely right. It's the appearance of it, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, he would have lost the last remaining people that are still, which I don't know who has any brain cells still watching that.
Man, I know.
By the way, someone in the chat, Papaya Positive, their comment is important. They said bingo card has big false flag event in the coming World Cup. I think this is important because they need. Laura Loomer told us, right? As is the mainstream media preparing us for an Iranian attack. So I think this depends on what you guys were talking about now, the current peace talks or whatever. We'll see how that goes. I think either way, we might just wake up one day and hear news of some event on the level or worse of 9/11. I've said before, what they did in Mexico could have been just practice, Operation Gladio practice for what they might do on the other side of the border, and then they'll easily mandate age verification and digital ID or whatever, for your safety. So
it'll be
so you have to see.
Sorry, Farrell, go ahead.
No, I mean you need to this week, the EU just basically passed a law for age verification on social media, right? And they were presenting their app now that has to be installed on all computers and cell phones that do age verification, where you have to either upload your passport or your national card, right? And they're going to tie that with social media verification. So I mean, you see already the footprint is being installed in Europe, and we know it is coming here. But to your point, I think for them to go to the next level, right, they need to have that massive event, right, that big false flag, right? That's what's enabled the surveillance state, right? And I think that will be the biggest excuse. Today I was just reading, Trump just authorized Palantir AI to basically take over building the new FAA systems, right, for flight controls, right? So they are outsourcing that to Palantir, right? and the DoD just give them more contracts. And I think we're going to see that more and more. And the ultimate usher of that surveillance state is going to happen was, I would say, sequence of false flags, because they have to like get you into it. So there will be a big one coming, and I agree the World Cup might be a big potential, and potentially other things to follow. So,
and could I just add on that? So something I've been covering in my podcasting is that our space of whatever you want to call it, alt media, independent media, podcasting, content creation, is rife with national security operations. I call them Pentagon active. For all those people calling me a Russian agent and active measures, I'm firing right back and saying Pentagon active measures and influence operations. And just today, someone sent me Dan Cohen. He just did a YouTube on how because he was working for Redacted and Gray Zone, and he's come out and said, I don't necessarily agree with everything he said or everyone that he paints, but he says podcasts are national security operations, and I think that's important because Laura Loomer again and others have said it's like they're preparing a disinformation governance board 2.0, and I was hit by the first train. And this time they're talking about any podcasters that are connected to foreign governments. And I think we could use the tenant media example of how the Western deep state can concoct through cutouts, connections to any of one of us. And so if they launch a false flag, they might immediately start coming after podcasters pointing to that false flag. And they'll use these pretexts of, Khorvoye or whoever received money from China, Iran, or Russia, or has, I won't name a name, but I got someone urgently wanted to come in contact with me, another person that if I revealed the name, people would know. I don't want to. But they said they're working on a project with someone, and if I would like to join with them, and this person is a supporter of the Islamic Revolution and Islamic resistance. And I'm thinking, like, what the hell? And so if I respond positively to this email, this can now be used by the DHS to say, oh, so you're supporting the Islamic Revolution and Islamic resistance? Like, that's not even the hill I want to die on. I don't support the empire, but I don't support the Islamic Revolution either. And it's like, what the hell? I'm not going to say yes to this. And now I'm entrapped. Whether the person meant it or not, that's not something I can respond to or even participate in, because that's definitely not a hill I want to die on.
Good point. To that point, real quick, you guys saw that latest unhinged truth from Donald Trump, which was a continuation of his attack against these people. What it was you probably saw this one where it's easy. Tucker's a low IQ person, and he went after them all again. It was actually in response to a CNN report praising him for being like badass or something like that. All right, but whatever, that's not important. But the thing is, like he said. Where is it? Here it is. At the end here, he says, I should do a list of good, bad, and somewhere in the middle. Wouldn't that be fascinating? And I thought of immediately, remember that old school conspiracy theory, speaking of the old Alex Jones, the red dot, blue dot on the mailbox idea where like they can sort the people and, you know which ones are on, who's who and whatnot. So I think this is what so we're going to have
think about that. I think, you just made me click. What Trump said was almost like he's forerunning this disinformation governance board 2.0 that's coming.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yep. That's how I read that too.
That's what it sounds like.
Yeah. Go ahead, Randy.
So I'm gonna try and tie this together a little bit. So like with the Strait of Hormuz, right? It's on again, it's off again. There's no control of the narrative. No one knows, who's on first with that whole. It's like a who's on first act, kind of like in the Straits of Hormuz with different
you should play that,
media organizations. Yeah, but it's also like we're watching again like an old-fashioned psyop fail in front of our eyes, and real time. So I agree with the consensus here that the sentiment that something is going to go down, and that there's like that the opportunities for things to go off the rails um, are all over the place. They're aplenty, and uh, I want to sort of shift, but not shift. It kind of goes with Trump's tweet there about Tucker and Candace and all of that. I think a lot of times the way air quotes they operate is, yeah, they're trying to control stuff, but they have to let things sort of air out and happen so that they don't look too involved. But I think they use things opportunistically. Um, uh, and one of them, or I think something that could happen is, I keep hearing all this stuff about how Turning Point USA is just like hemorrhaging membership. They're shutting down tour stops and different things like that. The whole thing that just happened with JD Vance was there, and she Erica didn't like go and all that. And there's all the, I don't know, she's sort of like a an albatross, a anchor, hugging an anchor going to the bottom of the ocean, sort of like with their all their money streams and everything else like that. It's just not, they're not doing good PR wise. And Candace, who Trump went in on that post, is really going, as the kids say, going all in, going hard in the paint, just really like lighting her up, letting Erica have it. And I gotta wonder, if we think back to JFK, they did a cleanup job with Lee Harvey Oswald and all that. What if someone was too bad for the Bush? I don't want to say this in case it happens, but like, what if someone was too bad for the movement and they decided to make it go away?
Jack Ruby.
Because it puts, yeah, because it puts the whole thing in jeopardy. Then what do you have? You have a whole thing now where it's like, you can't say certain things online. Look what it did to this individual, because they did it to themselves. But wink, wink, nod, nod, they didn't. They did it to themselves, and it's because the harm that all of the mean things that were said about them and everything else like that. We need to clamp down. You can't just say whatever. Sticks and stones do break our bones, and names do hurt you. So you can't say certain things. I mean, that would be one of many options that the the bad guys, the dark hats, have at their disposal. The World Cup. I mean, there's just nothing but opportunity, and there's a lot of black budget money that could go towards doing stuff like that. I don't know. It's just food for thought.
Yeah.
Interesting stuff.
Yeah, Mark, what do you think? And also, Mark, special request for you from Creative Accidents. Hesher, get Mark to comment on the lack of Bilderberg Group coverage, because you're in the OG crowd there. And while you were away from the camera, we were kind of talking about the lack of interest in it and the lack of journalists. Of course, we got Dan Dix and a couple other guys out there still holding fast. But your thoughts on that, as well as what Randy just said, in whatever order you want.
Well, I did my RBN show earlier. Well, actually, I was a guest on Ron Avery's show, which is called The Search for a Lawful Government. And that's Fridays at 4, republicbroadcasting.org. And I was a guest on there, and we talked Bilderberg the whole time. I wrote one preliminary article for American Free Press, and I'm working on some stuff now. And Ron and I were talking about Bilderberg, and we were talking about how, we're told that our foes, our intractable enemies are, China, Iran, Russia, that axis and whatnot. And as I've said before, some of it fact, some speculation, that other nation states really, maybe with the exception of Israel, because of its completely radical and barbaric ethos, most nation states really are relatively harmless. it's much more harmful to freedom and prosperity to have groupings like Bilderberg. They are much more foreign to our Constitution than any so-called enemy nation, if you follow me. Because with Bilderberg, you're talking about people that no longer really have any interest, or they don't have their heart in their home country anymore. They're looking at this larger global vision, and they pool their efforts, they pool their money, they meet in secret, and they form new alliances, secret treaties, secret pacts, and they set things in motion in a direction we're not told about. That is a true foreign thing. That is foreign to our Constitution. And as Ron said, quote, Bilderberg is foreign to every nation. So by the way they meet, and the way they go about things, and the way they've done things for 72 years now, it's very, hold on, the TV's on a bit. Babe, turn that down a bit, would you? Anyway, that's kind of the bottom line of it, is that when you've got this conglomeration of high tech lords, high tech people like that, and corporateers, corporate heavyweights, former and current finance ministers, central bankers, military brass. The head of NATO is already there. And what Bilderberg consists of, you've got a motley crew, a brew of mattoids. That a mattoid is a very intelligent person with criminal inclinations. You've got a very, very wicked brew there that's allowed to percolate with very little oversight. And what Ron and I were talking about, bottom line, was Bilderberg. Yes, it's good to analyze what they're doing. Yes, it's good to try and put the stethoscope to the wall. But really what needs to happen is they need to be stopped. They simply need to be disallowed to meet like that anymore, regardless of whether they're talking about fly fishing or baking cookies or overthrowing countries. And so what I did today, although it may seem like a spitwad along the side of a battleship, is I sent a formal complaint to the House Ethics Committee about two sitting congressmen this year that attended this earlier than ever Bilderberg meeting that they held at the Salamander Hotel in DC. And I sent the complaint in the formal way. It's not a difficult thing, and anybody can do it. And you don't have to live in the state of the congressman you're complaining about. No, they don't have to be your congressman. You don't have to be their constituent, and you don't even have to live in their state, let alone their district. And so I filed a complaint about Congressman Jason Smith, head of the House Ways and Means Committee, and the other congresswoman, another sitting congressman that attended this year. Oh my gosh, what's her name? It's an unusual name. Terry Sewell, Sewell, a Black Democratic congresswoman from Alabama, who went to Oxford, knows the Obamas, so she's not a house mom or a soccer mom that got lucky and got into Congress, not by any stretch. So what Ron and I talked about today can be boiled down to say that elected officials cannot shed their public office, because what Bilderberg says is they attend as private individuals. They don't attend in their official capacity. But a congressman that takes that constitutional oath cannot simply go to a meeting and shed that like taking a jacket off. You're a congressman, you're an elected congressman, there's a public trust until you're no longer congressman. You can't take that off like a hat when you enter Bilderberg, okay? And so the complaint I filed in summary is that these two members of Congress are attending private closed door meetings in violation of a House Code of Conduct 23 in Roman numbers XXIII. There's a code of conduct in the House where you have to avoid anything that would risk bribery, probably disclosing state secrets, accepting gifts inappropriately, that sort of thing. And so I think we need to see more of that, although it may seem like a long shot at first, and it probably is. But we need to draw the line in the sand, I believe, and say that at the very least our elected and preferably even appointed officials should not be lending their ear and their authority to these privateers at Bilderberg and giving them access to our policymakers, sweet deals for defense contractors, you name it. Bilderberg can go on and on. It's been 72 years now. That next year it'll be 73. How long do we have to watch this, right? That's what I'm getting at. There needs to be a way to incrementally shut it down, difficult though it may sound.
Yeah, thank you, Mark. It's amazing to me that there's not more public interest in it. I would have hoped that that would be the kind of thing that public interest and outrage would have just continued to grow over the years. But I guess maybe if I was to spitball, just in the age of 24/7 doom scroll and outrage porn, like, the dusty old Bilderberg concept is just a little too much for, enough people to take seriously. But I do appreciate you on the tail end of this year's Bilderberg meeting, taking that angle, zooming out a little bit and saying, hey, why are we even talking about what they're talking about there? The fact that they are talking there and setting international and global policy, unelected, on taxpayer dollars, is unacceptable, just flat out unacceptable. So, yeah, I appreciate that.
Maybe I can just add to that. Well,
Yeah.
on the one hand, it's great what he said, but it's like, how do you even begin to move the needle? And then we constantly see new globalist groupings form. We've seen this throughout history, from Rhodes' societies to our Royal Institute to CFR to the other various groups, Bilderberg and Trilateral. I've been working on an article. It's been for 2 years. I just never have time, but I want to put it out maybe next week, because I have to do this at the cost of not scheduling 1 or 2 podcasts, just so I have like a day or two to write. And Nicholas Berggruen, who he's come to my attention. He's another one of these globalists almost no one talks about. He may not be that important, but he set up the Berggruen Institute, and his bases are California, Italy, if you think Venetian nobility, and China, of course. And in a mainstream paper, I think it was a Spanish paper, it was cited that he has his own maybe narcissistic desire to supplant and replace Bilderberg and Trilateral. Like, the mainstream paper actually said that. And so if Bilderberg fades away, you'll have the Berggruen Forum or some other forum. And then the other point to what you were saying, Hesher, was I honestly am blackpilled in the sense of how many people just don't give a rat's behind about anything.
Yeah.
I use the example of, like, I keep going back to that scene from Temple of Doom with Indiana Jones, when Steven Spielberg's wife, who played the blonde woman, I forget the name, when he's in this cavern or something, and she has to stick her hand to pull the lever, and all these nasty bugs in there, and his head pops in. He's like, "We are going to die, if you don't pull that lever." him and Shorty, I think, were in there. And I give the example, and I predicted it 6 years ago, that in my community of like 200 or so homes, they would install biometric exit and entry. It happened like 4 or 5 months ago. I was the single only out of, you calculate the percentage, out of 200, one, me, that said hell to the no vocally in front of everyone in the homeowners association. I'm like, I will drive through the turnstile with my car to get to my house I'm not doing the biometrics. That just gives you a sampling of, like, it's almost like a lost cause, I feel.
Hey, how many people pushed back on that?
I was the first and only who vocally did it. I later heard, I don't know the number, that there were maybe a handful that kind of quietly, meekly went to the administration and said, "Yeah, we kind of don't like this idea." But no one like chimed in and said, "Yeah, I agree." It was like, it took, like, I was the only person. And I'm just using my own personal experience. I follow the Mexican socials Mexican commentary in Spanish on Twitter and Facebook against the Mexican biometric digital ID and the phone registration. And yes, there is a people who are there is an irate minority of Mexicans who are saying, we're going to play this game of chicken now. I think there's going to be a good number of Mexicans who on June 30th will not register their phones. I heard the telecom head say, we don't give a rat's behind. We are going to suspend accounts of people who have not registered. But again, so there always is an irate minority. Maybe they make it seem like it's less than it really is. But from the people that I interact with, it just feels like we talked about this earlier. The Black Mirror. They've been Brave New Worlded. Soma.
Right.
How are these without their phones? How are these people going to be able to interact with the black goo known as the technocratic control grid? I mean, like, aren't there a lot of? Don't you need a phone to something? They're just going to. Oh, well, sorry, we're going to cancel your. How long can they do that? Be like, at this point, I'd be like, great, I don't need it, right? You see what I'm saying? Oh, by the way, the bubbly blonde in Temple of Doom who played Willie was the character. Was Kate Capshaw was the actress.
Yeah.
She was not a natural blonde either. She was, I think, brown, a brunette. But yeah, they dyed her hair blonde for that. She was a pretty bubbly blonde chick, right?
Yeah. So, there's always that. I mean, what Mark said is on point. It's like, but that should have been the talking point in, like, year 1, year 2, year 3 of Bilderberg, year 1, year 2 of CFR, and just like, we as a species have not learned our lesson about secret societies, and how dangerous they are, and how extra dangerous they are when actual secret societies infiltrate, geopolitical and culture creating societies. So, we're deep, deep, deep down that rabbit hole now, like probably too deep to dig ourselves out, unfortunately. But I still agree with you, Mark. It should not be. It is one of the many creatures, the things that should not be.
We are. It just came to mind. Knee deep in the dead. Doom. That's remember Doom? I think that was a level.
Right.
By the way, I absolutely loved John Romero's biography, his book on Doom.
I've not read that.
It was an amazing. Honestly, it was an amazing read. I went down in multiple ways. I went down memory lane, and as soon as I finished reading that book, I went and replayed all of the Dooms.
Did you see that story? We did a icebreaker a couple of weeks back with Spore on the machine that can play Doom with the human brain goo in it. You see that thing?
Yeah.
Brain goo that goes back into the void.
I thought it was a fly. Wasn't it a fly?
No. They said it was human cultured cells of some sort, like 3D printed.
I thought it came from a fly's brain.
No,
I don't remember.
No, I don't think it. No, that was two different things.
Yeah, there was a fly brain one, but this was some sort of lab goo, human sludge ish. But getting back to the topic of potential large scale incidents, right? To sort of catalyze maybe the public. So, the way I was wondering, Wolf and myself and Sean Helton have been talking a lot, and Patrick Henningsen have been talking a lot lately about sort of the pattern that we see in violent incidents that are highly publicized. We'll put it that way. Whether it's something that happens at a school or a church or a federal building, like we've got a whole litany of history of these kind of events, right? And a lot of times people will say, well, that looks like a false flag. Yet it's only the rare incidents where that can be proven, right? So it's looked at as conspiracy theory and whatnot. But hey, everybody's a conspiracy theorist these days. I guess that's why YouTube allows these kind of conversations to happen. I don't know. I think ours is tame compared to some out there. But Corey Drayton was able to condense the just like the outline, right? So you've got the incident, right? The catalyzing incident, whatever that is. It could be something that happens at a football game, could be something that happens, WTC, whatever. Then what comes next? You can pretty much, like, this is like a script, right? Like, these are hallmarks of these sort of events that internet sleuths, if you like that term, attribute to false flag operations. You have the catalyzing incident, right? Then you have the performative outrage. Think Charlie Kirk, if you like, perhaps. Some people do. The performative outrage, right? We see voyeuristic, pure emotion and no logical analysis of the event. And then it's the reckoning and the repetition. This is when all the odd facts are obfuscated by all the weird conspiracy candy and all the conflicting reports, right? Think even like just trying to figure out something like, is the Strait of Hormuz open or not? And then all of a sudden the conflicting accounts are disappeared in what we call the singularity, the unmasking of the antagonist. In some cases, a manifesto appears or some sort of geopolitical outcome is easy to spot. And then curated social media personas are presented and that kind of stuff. And then you have the apotheosis phase, the part where the narrative is raised, the incident is raised to like preeminence, almost like religious, like, right? There's this establishment of a canon of horror and fear built around the incident. And then you get to the something must be done phase, the mandate. I mean, and everybody's so scattered over their opinion on what's going on right now. So I don't, back to what you said originally there, Hervore, and Pharaoh and Randy J and Ruckus, you all amplified it. We're expecting something big to happen at some point, or maybe a series of something bigs. And I'm willing to bet my bottom dollar that whatever it is going to fit right into that little framework in a very familiar fashion.
And it'll be for the cyber polygon. I mean, you keep finding these clips. I can't keep up. I came across the Fantastic Four movie from last year. I didn't even know there was one. I don't know if you guys saw that, but
does it have like that Boba Fett guy in it or something? That guy that's in everything now?
I've got no idea, but there was the scene where he's saying, okay, all the world now is going to have to shut the lights off to conserve energy. That's like literally what we're doing now. And so they need because not enough people are signing up for the digital ID, are using their phones to pay for everything. I mean, I can't stop complaining about it because it's my president, Scheinbaum, Claudia Scheinbaumovsky. She came out. I saw a clip of her the other day. She's waving around her arm. She makes this mannerism of like she's waving around her phone. She was talking about Chinification. I've heard from people in China that say you can't use cash anymore in China, and that you have to pay for everything digitally, basically with your phone or with the card in China today. And she says that, we want you here in Mexico to make purchases with your phone digitally. And she's waving around her hand for little things. And she didn't specify, but I'm thinking, probably like your $1 tortillas on the street or tacos. So she wants you to pay now for your tacos and tortillas with your phone digitally, as well as big box items. And so this is, I think, what they want globally. And they're going to need some sort of catalyzing event to push us in that direction,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Trump has been laying the foundation for this. That's what the Genius Act, right? And the stable coins. He ran that I'm not gonna create CBCD, but he's inserting stable coins, and I think the plan right now is pushing everybody towards stable coins, right? And he's going to privatize banking. That's I heard that analysis from multiple people, and actually I agree with it. That I think the goal is for him, once you have stable coins, right, and you start buying U.S. Treasury with stable coins, right, because that's how they can offload this crazy debt because nobody's buying U.S. Treasury, right? And now all the major players everybody's going to start having stable coins, right? And everything is just going to be digital banking and digital stable coins. I think that's where it's heading. It's the scenario that the only scenario financial that makes sense. This is the only way he can deal with the debt.
Yeah, somewhere in the notes here, I've got a clip of Larry Fink talking about exactly this also, and we're seeing a lot of threats and or marketing about AI causing this, right? Like AI going unhinged, and
Mm-hmm.
you know that's one of the scenarios they're implanting in everybody's heads right now is that oh, Claude's gonna go sentient and steal everybody's login, and that's going to be that, and then we're going to have our great financial reset, and we can't get access to our money again until we get a digital ID to go with it. And by the way, while Claude stole all your money, he stole your job too, so now you need the UBI, and we're in.
You know what's unsettling, fellas, is we're all talking about this like it's an inevitability, like it's going to happen, like it's a fait accompli, like
It's written in stone, right, in the obelisk.
yeah. Yeah, interesting choice of words, but yeah, scary choice of words actually. But I mean, yeah, it seems like we're discussing in what manner they're going to pull it off, not that they're going to even attempt it, because I mean, it seems a certainty.
Well, what's the I mean, I think the reason the conversation feels that way is because there's this toothpaste out of the tube, genie out of the bottle sort of hopelessness, this black pill cannon sort of thing that's like, okay, let's say we look at it as not of foregone conclusion. Well, what does that look like? It's like getting rid of Bilderberg or something, it's like, wait a minute, if we didn't want this, we should have been having a long-standing public conversation about this for the last couple generations or something. I don't know. Maybe that's not it.
Maybe we should not have allowed our governments to shut down the world in 2020.
Right, like we've had little
I'm deadly
opportunities.
serious. That was our last chance. We told the elites. I mean, not us, but collectively, humanity told the elites, "Hey, this is totally okay. Prove me wrong."
Pretty much.
It was a
But
massive opportunity for people to say no, that's too much. No, no, no. But instead, what happened? The fear porn of the case demic and the thought of, dying of an illness was enough. Like, you repeated that enough, showed scary enough numbers, and said scary enough things over and over again.
and
Now
Yeah.
here, oh, sorry. The other thing is that I've noticed that under the current administration and a lot of the bad things that have been going on, as you guys have been pointing out on and off, nobody seems to care. And I think I'm not sure what's up with that, but everybody's gotten really numb. Maybe it's a physical side effect. But I mean, I don't know. But this is just a phenomenon. I mean, since the Epstein files thing, everybody's just like, oh yeah. Speaking of foregone conclusion, yeah, we know the world is run by elite PDF file people, and now what? We still go on but I got to go to work. I got to pay taxes. We got to worry about the next election. What? I'm like, so what's going to change? What happens? Nothing. So I don't even think they need a catastrophic event. All they can say is like, oh, by the way, for your safety and your convenience, we've now switched. You don't even have to do anything different. You use your bank card as usual. It's just what's going on in the background is it's really crypto now. It's great. It's excellent. We're the crypto capital of the world, and nobody really knows what's going on in the background until they realize, wait a minute, I don't have to pay taxes. No, you don't have to pay taxes this year. You've been paying taxes every day, every 5 seconds. There's an algorithm, and it's based on your social credit score. It's wonderful. Greatest crypto score, social credit in the history of America. Amen.
Well, you got to wonder too,
Yeah.
Ruck, if with the way computing is, and it's always been alleged that whatever we see, things are further advanced, behind the scenes and everything. if we're all not getting collected on, and if at the end of the day, they're already seeing who's thinking what, putting people in categories and everything, a little bit more advanced that we even suspect, because you have you, they're in the open, and it's kind of like exposed, and we know, and well, maybe the platforms we talk on and utilize all the time, well, they know as well. And so there's just a little bit of a separation going on. The freedom's allowed, so people are unknowingly sticking their head out, and the elite will know who's who for, for future laws and regulations and things later on. They'll get to it later. Time's on their side.
And maybe just add to that, something strange, just on to your point. My YouTube channel, all of a sudden, like it's, it hasn't happened in over half a decade, is starting to get more views.
Yep.
Each episode now is like minimum 1,000 views, 2, 3. I've had some bigger guests, 10,000 plus, and it's kind of like, okay, this has not happened. I multiple times in the past few years, I got to 2 strikes and had to stop posting for 3 months
Same.
because they almost like, why have they? It's like the psycho who's all of a sudden being nice to you, and it's like,
yeah,
what's up?
I know. Like, what do you want from me, right? Like, what is it you want from us? Why are you trying to gain little old our favor? Like, we're seeing that on our channel too. Like, one of the most suppressed channels, one of the most suppressed places ever. And it's just like, whoa, what the heck? Like, it actually showed up in a recommend. What are you talking about? Like, I didn't get any emails this week saying I'd been mysteriously unsubscribed from your channel. Like, what is going on here? I wish I wish I could feel like, oh, cool, they untyranned it a little bit, and that's nice. I wish I could just, take it at face value and be like, thanks, guys. But I'm just like, okay, wait, why are you being nice to me? You shoved me in a locker for the last 3 years, and spit on my sandwich, and gave me a noogie and a swirly and all this stuff, and now it's like. I'm cool again. I can hang out. I just don't get it, man. It kind of.
You and I
don't
were
know,
just
man.
talking
YouTube
about
has
this,
been.
Hesher, right? We were just talking about this in real life, and then I mentioned the same thing was happening for weaponized news, Jason Burmis, a lot of these
Really?
OGs. Yes,
It's going around.
I'm like, this cannot be ignored. What you're saying right here, Havori. Yeah.
Trump is saving us. Trump has defeated the deep state, and he's pulled. We're
Freedom of
good
speech
now.
is back, everybody. Like, what are we doing here being sour? We should just go over to the Atlantic Council site and celebrate IMF Day or whatever they got going,
You're tripping. I'm thinking I need to borrow one of your extra pieces, Hesher, because I think one of these is no longer enough to keep next to me when we're doing these shows live.
Yeah, you need one on the right and the left at least, if not one in the front and the back too.
Yeah, let's all sing happy, happy, joy, joy, like Ren and Stimpy.
I don't know. I'm more of a Mr. Horse guy. No, sir, I don't like it.
It is strange, what, going back a little bit, Trump going after Tucker and Candace and all that. Trump 45, the first Trump, he had some laudable things to say, even about Alex Jones, even if he was a little cryptic about it. And Trump number 1, jokingly, I can assume it's the same person, Trump number 2. But I'll get smart and intrigue aside. Trump sounds much more harsh toward alternative media voices now than he did the first time around. And, I think he wanted to, show that he didn't believe in the legacy media, the fake news, as he called it repeatedly, which did some good at the time during his first term. But now the alternative media gets stronger and stronger still, the legacy media weaker overall, and all of a sudden real truth starts getting out, and the politicians such as Trump is going, wait a minute, yeah, I like you alternative media guys, but I wasn't saying tell the truth. You know what I mean?
Tell the MAGA truth, not the mega truth, right?
Well,
Well,
yeah, tell a version of the truth. No, no, Donald, there's not a version of it. It's either true or false. Hate to burst your bubble, in this "my dick is bigger than yours" political world that we live in. But, you know, um, I can find things that Trump has said or did that I can kind of look at with some real super cautious optimism. But then all of a sudden, there'll be some comment he makes or posting or some turn of events where the whole thing is just thrown into um, an undecipherable situation. The Straits of Hormuz okay, the US is this superpower. We have all this military power. Are we really to believe that we don't have the ability to control that strait with the kind of weight we can throw around militarily, right? And even early in the war in Iran, Iran had a, change of power. Someone else was voted into power, who looked like a CIA cutout to me. That's my spidey sense. But so we're so powerful, but Iran can still peacefully and procedurally affect a change of power, and we can't wrest the Strait of Hormuz control from them. I mean, we've got all the bombs, all the missiles, and the largest military in the history of the world, but somehow Iran still names a new leader, controls the straits, and oh wait, I thought we were supposed to be energy independent anyway. And Trump's went on and on about that, even in his first term. Oh, we're going to be energy independent. Well, if we are, why are we worried so much, at least to that degree, about the Straits of Hormuz, right? I
Yeah, and
mean,
why are we kidnapping the president of Venezuela and his wife and saying we're going to steal all their oil?
because we're going to steal all their oil.
Right, and we can pay to have it stolen too, right? Okay.
Yeah, it's corporate hegemony behind the governments. The governments are stooges to larger forces. That
Yeah.
explains the chaos. The governments aren't in charge, in my opinion.
Let's see here. Roy, what's this Fantastic Four clip you sent me? You want me to
Just
play
that
that?
clip about again the predictive programming was wild that they
All
were.
right, let's take a look.
Sacrifices will be made. We all need to conserve power at a scale never attempted before. Quite right, Herbie. All the power. The worldwide energy curfew only works if...
Talk over this a little bit, just so we don't get copyright strike. Man, that guy is in everything now. What the hell?
But worldwide energy curfew. I mean, that's wild. And then you
power
had
at a scale never...
the IMF head. That's another clip from Tim Hinchcliffe. Christina Georgieva, whatever her name is, saying, basically saying, like COVID. This is like COVID. We need to stop driving our cars. Use your car every other day. Like, I'm telling you, I bet you, where I am in Mexico City, you can only. I'm in Guadalajara, but Mexico City, you can drive your car every other day. Like, I'm telling people, I bet you, so many of my predictions have come true here locally. I bet you they're going to say, introduce the rule where you can drive your car only every other day here where I am, and that's going to start happening. They're already doing it temporarily because of Iran, like in South Korea. And they said they used the license plate rationing system. And isn't it funny? Last year, they made us here in Mexico, they forced everyone to replace your license plates for new ones that are easier to read with QR codes. And then Scheinbaum said by the end of this year, they're going to implement it. This is their last year to pay for gasoline in cash in Mexico. And I started driving when I was 16, and I'm thinking, never in my life, virtually, have I paid for gas not in cash. And now you're telling me you literally won't be able to pay for gasoline in cash because of this sort of energy curfew ration system. They're going
That's
to be
crazy.
You got to learn how to grow your own gasoline,
Gasoline.
son.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we know how to grow our own grass. Ahem.
Yeah, that
Mystical
was a
Pharaoh,
mistake.
I know you. Oh, Mystical Pharaoh had to bounce out there, so he's out of here. Thanks for being with us tonight, Mystical Pharaoh. Let me bring this
He had
back
to
up.
cut out yet
Yeah,
again. Man.
cut out. So speaking of like, you might ask yourself, well, how would I not be able to buy gas? Americans are asking themselves right now. What do you mean? How would that even happen? How could I not buy gas on Tuesday, but I can on Wednesday? Well, digitization is one great way to make that happen. Your cash just is not going to be the right digital color, if you will, on some days. So here's a little highlight of Larry Fink.
Just so you know, Hesher, heads up, this clip you're about to play is from October of 2025.
Yeah, yep. It's not brand new, hot off the presses, but all of the rumblings this week has it recirculating. Thank you, Ruckus.
I would say the biggest question from central banks is what is the role of tokenization and digitization? How quickly should they think about digitizing their own currency? What does that mean for the role of the dollar? If every currency digitizes and we have, what does that mean for bank payments? What does that mean for the payment companies like MasterCard and Visa? All these are being questioned right now. I think we spend so much time talking about AI. We're not spending enough time talking about how quickly we're going to tokenize every financial asset and the opportunity we're going to have a digital wallet and moving ETFs and other things through a digital wallet. And I think that's going to happen worldwide very rapidly. And I think most countries are ill prepared for that and underappreciate how technology is changing that, not unlike how technology is changing AI and other things. It will be changing the technology around the plumbing of finance.
Oh no, not the plumbing.
No, not finance.
Did you hear his
There's a broken
reptilian?
record. Sorry.
Did you hear his reptilian humanoid breathing apparatus kicking in all the time? Like, and I think that that's pretty interesting.
There's a classic example of private power being in charge of governments. He's a spokesman for that, and the inevitability of it all. You'll notice how the perception of a gas shortage is used to bring about digital payments and digital currencies. Could that not be the goal all along? Use fuel as a lever to get the digital cash, digital transaction thing in place faster and better from the globalist point of view. And so the war, even though we don't get accurate reports, we don't often trust what we hear about the war in the Middle East, but it's simply a cudgel to get that moved along. In the bigger picture, we've seen live bank tellers and then ATMs, automatic teller machine. And then if you get digital cash, then ATM machines will eventually go the way of phone booths. They'll disappear. And it's actually been called, and I've mentioned this before, it's been called dematerialization. That term is actually used sometimes where something is tangible and suddenly it just disappears. So
like the World Trade Center buildings?
Yeah, in a very large scale, right down to the molecular level practically. But, bank tellers, ATMs, digital currencies, you won't need ATMs anymore. And there's already commercials on TV where they make fun of the canister that goes up the vacuum tube out of the ATM, and they make fun of it like, oh, that's going to be obsolete soon.
Ruckus and I just used one of those.
Yeah. I mean,
the pneumatic tubes, those things are cool when you look
they're cool. I don't want those to go away.
The history of those are neat, but yeah, they're totally obsolete.
Yeah. Once in a while, if you go to Canada or UK, you can still find a phone booth. And I like to get inside. It's fun. It's like, wow, this is cool. I can talk and not have someone listening in. What a concept, right?
Ooh. You have like a Clark Kent moment or something there?
Well, Mark,
super suit?
Yeah, people could listen in, But they would have to climb up the telephone pole, and that thing would connect to the box, and they'd have to play. You see, we've seen it in the movies, in the old A-Team episodes, right? It's totally doable.
And Petticoat Junction or one of those, the show with Eddie Albert. Oh my gosh, that old show that where they climb up on a pole and make calls, even back in the old days. Yeah. So.
Oh yeah. I remember that one. What was that called?
Green Acres.
Green Acres. That's right.
Yeah.
Man, I used to watch Green Acres when I would stay home sick from school. There was some channel on cable TV that had like all those old shows like Green Acres and stuff. That was my stay home. I'm homesick from school show for sure.
Yeah, it's what's really disturbing is the pace and the force of this technological brave new world that they want to shove us into with all their might. I mean, there is not even a modicum of consent in this. They ram it through, and if you don't absolutely protest with every fiber of your being, that's interpreted as consent. Well, you're not raising hell and staging a revolution, so you must be consenting to these new Larry Fink advocated ideas. It's just shoved down our throat. Change for the sake of change. Real improvements, rarely.
It makes me think too, like you think about how quickly and bombastically Israel and the U.S. are sort of completing the greater project over there, and just wipe, like, even now Google Maps, we're seeing reports, I think James Lee put it out, Google Maps is deleting in real time town names from the maps in South Lebanon.
Apple, they said, no?
Yeah, Google and Apple, I think. And it's like it's all moving so quickly, going all the way back to October 7, going all the way back to 9/11, 2001, going all the way back to 1945, 1938. You can go back to where you want and kind of look at the speed at which this is rolling out. And right now, please forgive the term, but it's going at light speed. And also, this push towards CBDC tokenization is going at light speed. And it's occurring to me that, like, maybe part of the reason that this is all moving so quickly, just the ethnic cleansing, genocide, war kind of things that we're seeing, they mean, by their own designs, they're not going to have the US, petrodollar as that cudgel anymore once they achieve this goal, right? Like who cares about the US dollar? It's all going to be digital tokens and shit.
Mm-hmm.
So you kind of have to, like, if you're the evil mongoloids baking up these plans, you kind of have to complete that operation while you still got the lever of power being the petrodollar, and then, I mean, just, I'm just trying to think like a globalist here, like a technocrat, right? Then all of a sudden the color of the money doesn't matter as much. The control is what matters more.
I've been raising a bit of hell lately, where I wrote this long article talking about multipolarity being the next phase of world government. And I posted this clip here. It's in Spanish, but it has English subtitles. I came across it. It's an old clip of EU globalist Javier Solana. And I just excerpted some of the key quotes where he says in this speech, "With no doubt, there is a growing multipolarity perceived every day. It's good, but a multipolar world without the instruments of a world government is very risky. We have to be careful to have the capability to generate instruments of power of a world government. We are in a delicate transition phase." He also says Europe is some kind of laboratory of what a world government system could be. And I guess to your point that, yeah, effectively, I've had guests who say they might keep the petrodollar, just knock it down a notch to keep it regional to the Western Hemisphere, and then use this crisis to birth the digitalized petro yuan. And then someone has written that they're using the same Bank of International Settlement global digital architecture, and you've got these Agora and Enbridge systems that are effectively, it's all basically part of the same interoperable ledger. And then, multipolarity, in my view, is just, it's the regional EU unions. It's just the next advance towards globalism. So
it certainly looks that way, and that's one of the only things that explains away some of the questions that people have about Russia and China and Iran to some extent, like at the leadership level, at their version, they all have their own little versions of like CFRs and Bilderbergs and stuff like that too, that, we don't hear about at all, probably.
And as Burning Beard points out, because of the Larry Fink, so that guy is a bit of a broken record. You can find him saying stuff like that going probably as far back as 5 years now. He started on this talk not long after the lockdowns. And also, I'll remind people, you'll remember, go back in your head, that not long after the lockdowns, seriously, it was hardly that long into it, that the news reports were starting to report things like, oh, look, without everybody driving to work, the environment's getting better, and the animals, remember the stories about the animals, or the critters are coming out to play because the humans aren't messing up the world for them, right? And immediately, those of us who were like, we're like, watch, they're going to try to do this kind of thing again eventually in the name of carbon credits. And we've been warning about this kind of stuff for quite a while now. And I think this is it. But I never thought that it would be under, like, say, a Trump administration who's gone freaking crazy with the war stuff. And that, one of the reasons, there's already countries as a result of this. Who is one of the countries, maybe one of you guys know this, who are already doing like rationing of fuel and energy and everything as a result of this?
A number of the Asian countries.
Like South Korea was one I heard.
And the pandemic, the biggest impact that all of that crap had on the world's the trickle down effects, other than the jibby jab, of course, was the effect it had on the what's the shit that makes everything go around? And
supply chain.
Thank you. It was all because the supply chain got disrupted, and sure, we messed some things up with just the kids and the school problem and the working from home and all that garbage. But the ultimate, what really effed us, was the supply chain thing, and we're doing it again, except it's not over a virus.
And I just wanted to add what Hesher was saying earlier about the hyper speed of the digitalization. And this personal local example, it might not sound like a big deal, but I think it is. I think it's an important signal. And so, I try to be as analog as possible. I don't use the apps. I don't like these like Uber Eats stuff. And there are local Mexican versions called like Rappi, and they've incorporated, what's the Chinese one? Didi, I think, Didi Taxi. And like all these app delivery stuff, and I hate it. And if I order food from a local place, I call the locality, and then they usually have their own delivery service direct, and I pay in cash. And every other week or so, I order a kilo of fresh grilled steaks, and they're not terribly expensive. And usually they have their own their own in-house like employee. They've got a bike, and they'll send them off to deliver it on their bike. And I pay in cash, and it's like, you're not participating in the dystopian system. Well, this time, the guy, my wife orders it on her WhatsApp or whatever, and the guy comes and he's like, "What's the 4-digit code?" I'm like, "What the hell are you talking about? Like, what 4-digit code? You guys like you have your motorcycle, you bring me the meat, I give you cash. What code are you talking about?" And he's like, "Oh, you didn't hear the local? It's a local. It's not some franchise. The locals." Meat butcher place, they've ended the local delivery. They've outsourced it to Uber Eats, and Uber Eats, like international globalist Uber Eats, not like Mexico. And so when you make the order, I don't know how they do it. They will then do it on Uber Eats, and then they will send you the 4-digit code for Uber. And I'm like, what the hell, man? And then I tell this guy, like, I don't use any of these. And he had to wait for me, calling with my wife back and forth, like, what's the code? I don't know where it is. And then he's like, I told him, I don't use any of these apps. Like, and he's like, and he made the comment, he's like, everyone's using it. Like, it's going everywhere.
Industry
Like,
standard
it's
now.
the whole country, you know, is being appified. So he told me, like, it's just becoming everywhere now.
Yep.
And you can't, man, it's depressing.
You saw the story about the lifelong holder of season tickets for I don't remember what baseball team it was, but he's like an old dude who doesn't have a phone, and now he cannot. They refuse to make him paper tickets. He can't go in and watch his ball games anymore. It's really sad.
Where was this, in the U.S. somewhere?
I'll find you the link. I posted it on my X some time ago.
Man. Yeah, there's just going to be no escape. Like, and I mean, what do? Do you like, you can be hardcore about it, right? Like, you can be like, I'm going to go build a cabin out of a tree and some logs and see how that goes. And I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of trade-offs with that. And then there's the, Hervore style, the Croat style. Just, no, I'm not doing that. I don't do that. Yes, I live here, and no, I'm not doing that. What are you going to do about it? And how long is that going to work for us? That's the thing. Like, yeah, it's working right now but unfortunately, this is what you would call a transitional space. We're moving into a new paradigm here. I mean, Randy, you and I have talked about major paradigm shifts before in the past, like, and as an example, just to build off what you guys were saying earlier, that the UK or the EU, is it UK or EU? I don't remember which, but their new Online Safety Act thing, people are already figuring out how to hack the app. Like, the second the app is required, there's a huge groundswell. This was the same thing when they started having travel mandates for, medical stuff, for travel mandates. It was like, oh, I need a piece of paper, or, oh, I need a QR code. There's this thing called the internet. I can generate those. Like, that's another thing in this little transitional space. So Randy, what do you think, man? Like, there's going to be what's it going to look like on the other side, and what's it going to look like getting there? And how long can someone like Hervore hold out before he has to move to the woods and chop a tree down and move his family into it?
Yeah, on the getting there part, I don't know. I feel like at any one moment, things could ramp up and pick up and go faster. But I think the getting there part is, it doesn't matter to them. And here's what I mean. I think that if it goes fast, if it goes slow, if there's flaws in their own system and people fight against it, and there's a lot of chaos and churn and angst, I've been thinking about this a lot lately. If everything just worked fine, even what they want, there's less to profit from it. Yeah, you get control, but I literally think that there's money, the movement of money, digital, real, whatever, that transfer of work, of energy, of actual even hate, discontent, and people being bothered, and wars and fighting, all of that chaos, but boxed in and controlled. I believe they actually like that, because I think that's how they profit. That the existence of that is why these systems and all that even exist. I know that's sort of heady and maybe even a little too intellectual to be leaving my own vocal cords or whatever, but I've been thinking about that a lot and trying to like, but why is all of this, why are things the way they are? And I think that's it. Like, if a individual in Mexico's fighting it, lawyers are fighting it, right, there's so much work in, I'm just going to say it, job security or possibilities for AI and the people that are putting it together. there's just so much things to be done to keep all these systems going and running, and the system in and of itself keeps all of us little worker bees preoccupied, and it keeps the structure in the system the way it is. It's crazy to think that chaos might be the cement keeping all the pyramid bricks together.
Well, you hit the nail on the head there, though. They can monetize it. So it's like if you can control the chaos and monetize the outcome of it and then amplify it, take it from Celine Dion 3 to Spinal Tap 11. And of course, the last part of that turn is the quick part, right? So I think that might be where we're at right now, because they're quickly, like, if you think about it from the perspective you just laid out there, Randy, look at poly market, like throw these poly market bets into that concept. And it's like all these things that we're seeing, like, why is this war so confusing? Well, because if they just change the narrative every Friday, right, they can bounce the market up and down. Look, that's exactly what's fucking happening too. The market is bounced back. Everybody, oh, it's a big win today. Are you kidding me? I'm still paying $4 a gallon for gas in Texas, and I'm sure my homies in California are paying $7. Cost at the pump didn't go down. And they're telling us everything's great. But in the background, people from the Trump administration, shady MFers in other countries are making bazillion-dollar bets on things that are down to like a matter of a 5-minute window. Like there's insider betting going on, and it's happening at like hyper speed. So it's almost like it is the way you said it is, but it's also at a point now where it can happen so fast. Like they can literally just throw a piece of propaganda out there, and then their buddies all profit on it, whether it crashes whether it dips the market or peaks the market.
It's funny, just as Randy was saying that, I was just on the feed, and it's like literally synergistically lined up. There's this interesting X account, Apolitical, and he just tweeted today, the corruption going on at the highest levels of the U.S. government would make mob bosses blush. Just 20 minutes before Trump's announcement that the Strait of Hormuz was open, massive trades hit the market. Investors sold a combined 7,990 lots of Brent crude futures, a $760 million bet that oil would go down. These orders were much larger than anything else at that time. The traders made huge gains. And we're just seeing this day in and day out. Crazy. I learned, I think it was a Corbett article on Polymarket, that probably was birthed out of DARPA. Like, it's insane. Literally everything is coming out of DARPA. And I was joking, we had our conversation, Brian. I learned recently that personal computing effectively was financed by DARPA. Yeah. They create the internet and computers and everything else, and then they want us to do operating system verification. And I'm just joking. Well, if they created the internet that I'm using, and they created the computer that I'm using for the internet, I guess they have the right, to demand my verification. So
that's a harsh one.
There were reports last year saying that Polymarket was reaching something like high 90s, like 94 or 95% accuracy in predicting events. And then I think that recently there was a big news story similarly about Kalshi doing something but even higher, something like 98 points. It was crazy. And so now you'll notice that these platforms now are like news outlets. People will go to the Polymarket for their news. It's crazy. You know what I'm saying?
Right. All right. Let me go to Randy to reply, and then I'll go to Mark. Randy, what do you think, man?
It's not surprising. I mean, I think all of this, pretty much every subject we hit tonight, it's all interrelated, and it's all part of the background that's slowly coming to the foreground. Control grid to just God, it's so tired, but like the Matrix movie reduces to battery, but for higher up the pyramid.
What about the
There you go. There's a nice
piece.
There's a nice optimistic thought to leave everyone with.
Yeah. Yeah. Banhammer says, I think the real purpose of polymarket is the prediction of human behaviors. I suspect they will eventually use it to predict thought crimes like Minority Report. What were you going to say there, Ruckus?
Well, real quick about that is like I also have a theory that that's a two-way street. Not only can they predict human behavior, they can gamify this, use this to socially engineer and nudge humans and/or events. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Mark, what do you think about the light speeding of all this? I don't know. We covered a lot of ground there, but over to you.
Yeah, it sounds like we're in summary mode, correct?
Well, I got a couple more bangers for you if anyone wants to hang out. We're 2 hours and 20 minutes in though, so I don't expect anybody to break their back here tonight.
Well, let me just mention or announce that at republicbroadcasting.org, I do have an article up, Time to Dissolve Bilderberg, and maybe put it in the show notes if you don't mind, Brian.
Absolutely. It will be there in the show notes and I'll flash it
It
on the
talks
screen
about
here.
talks about contacting the ethics committee. Yeah, there it is. And it's sort of a how-to or hey, let's get involved kind of article. So we don't, because one thing that happens, and there's no doubt there's some intention in this, is they create all this chaos and this multifaceted society with all these events, some real, some probably fake, some in between going on, to keep us constantly preoccupied and spinning in circles. And what I've always advocated to combat that is that what they're really after is systemic change. The flash in the pan, the breaking news has value, of course, and you want to know what's going on to a point. But what they really want is their digital money and their infrastructure the way they want it, which is a more evolutionary and not so much revolutionary thing. And it's longer term. It takes them a long time to make the changes. If you look through the smoke and you see what they're actually doing in terms of their infrastructure, you get a little bit better handle on it because that stuff, even though it seems like it's moving quickly, it does take time. And if you get a handle on it and get it in your sights and don't let go and don't look at the flashing headlines too much, then I've always found that you can begin to get a better grasp on what's going on and advise remedies as best as one can. You know, ideas that, what was it that Buckminster Fuller said, the inventor, you're never going to defeat your foe head on. You have to create something new that makes his system obsolete. And sometimes that's even as simple as growing your own food and becoming more self-sufficient. That was mentioned by our friend in Mexico tonight, buying food from the local restaurant, using their own delivery people, paying cash as much as you can. They sound like little things, but they're the consent that they want from us is for us to participate in their system. So everything that we can do within reason, and it's not a perfect thing, but everything we can do within reason not to participate in their system and keep that in our sights and not let the flashing headlines distract us too much, the better off we're going to be individually and as citizens, and harder to fool, harder to bamboozle. That's at least some initial steps we can take.
Yeah, we're definitely a skeptical bunch, and we definitely have a skeptical audience, and that is very much appreciated. We need more skepticism in the world, that's for sure, to put it lightly. Mark, do you want to hang a little bit longer, or do you need to jump out of here?
I need to jump out. I need to exit stage left even.
All right. Mark Anderson, aka Rick Terscale. We'll see you next time, man.
A noted geologist, right?
That's right. If
Not.
if this ground is shaking, you know, cook some bacon.
See you guys later. Excellent discussion.
Thanks, Mark. Thanks for being
Same,
here.
Mark.
All right. Well, what else do we got? I
Just
think
you know something interesting. Apparently Ben Shapiro, I don't know if you guys caught this. He actually mentioned like the Noah Hyde laws, which has
Really?
been conspiracy stuff. And I've very, very vaguely known about that, but it wasn't until late last year that I interviewed 2 Israelis about it. And this plan, I guess, for like a global Sanhedrin and Noahide laws. Again, it's a theory, but you're seeing movement evidence as to it. And now the fact that it's being discussed more and more. And then Ben Shapiro, I think I have the clip here. It's like 30 seconds, and one of my followers tweeted my interview. I don't know. I think if you want to play, it's 30 seconds. I think this is the one where he's saying we should follow the 7 Noahide laws. That is weird. You know, they can't call me.
Yeah, okay, I got it up here. Oh my gosh. We haven't seen this guy in a while. Boy, the eyebrows. Jeez.
I think this is the clip, is it?
Okay, yeah. All right, I got it. Let's see here. Share this one.
It is the one.
Oh, StreamYard just crapped on me here. Hold up, I gotta restart. the
While
share.
you're looking, I think I could help out here. I actually don't know what that is. If someone has a dime store version or even an expert version of what that means.
What, the Noahide laws?
Yes.
Yeah, I did like a podcast with the Ben Noons. They're a couple they're Jewish, but they say they converted to Christianity, and effectively, it's like this Talmudic, like it's this specific group of Jews, right? Not everyone, right? And it's been talked about like in their own, I don't know what, Talmud or something, literature, that they wanted to create like this, again, a form of like a global control system, global government, and would be based on these Noahide laws. But a lot of them, at first glance, it's like, okay, well, that's not so bad. But then there are many sub laws, and effectively, it's like the Jewish version of Sharia, effectively. And then they point out in U.S., like the Congress, there have been many sort of meetings with these groups of like having education day, like not necessarily laws, but weird agreements that have been signed. And so if you kind of go follow the Ben Noons and others who explore this more at length, and you know, you'd think, okay, this was a conspiracy theory, but now it's like Shapiro is openly talking about it, and in other places you're seeing increasing signals, and that kind of says, okay, this is weird.
No, I'm laughing because you say conspiracy theory and people sort of roll their eyes, but then you say Ben Shapiro and then they go, oh yeah, it probably is. But no. Okay, interesting. Yeah, I don't doubt it.
All right, let's see what Ben has to say here. Oh my gosh. This comment cracked me up. LOL. Was not prepared for new Ben. Neither was I. I just was sitting there looking at it like, oh golly.
Maybe it's AI Ben.
Right?
I'm a Jew. That means that I do not believe in the divinity of Jesus. I also believe, as an Orthodox Jew, that Judaism is not the only path to heaven. Judaism as a religion is not exclusive, meaning that as long as people who are not Jewish follow 7 basic Noahide laws, and this includes Christians and Muslims, they too have a share in the world to come. And those 7 basic laws are things like no blasphemy, don't commit sexual sins, set up a court of law, make sure that you're not eating flesh from a living animal, stuff like that. I'm a Jew. That means that I do not believe in the divinity.
Okay.
So I think it's an important signal. And him, the fact that he says set up a court of law, because that's part of like courts will be set up under this system.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, it's just something to keep on the bookshelf for.
And
sounds pretty universal to me.
Right? Did you like the Cliff's Notes version of like what it actually means there too? Just normal stuff, you know, like eating flesh of animals and, you know, blasphemy.
But it's not. This is rules for thee, not for we. These are exclusive rules for the goyim, the cattle, the non-Jewish people, allegedly. And yes, it's derived exclusively from the Talmud.
And you mentioned goyim, and like again, I want to be as an academic approaching this stuff. I don't like these people who are pro Hitler and pro Nazi and are like, it's the Jews. No. And you had is it Jonathan Pollard? So he was that Israeli American spy, a traitor that Trump pardoned He, one of the best accounts, I'm sure you guys know, Information Liberation, Chris Minahan.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
he just uses primary sources. He's not saying anything from their own words. And this trader, not only was he talking about nuking Iran, what did he say? He actually used himself the term goyim, which is a derogatory term against us, right? It's just mind-blowing.
But it's not a conspiracy theory, like you stated. These are just
Right.
facts. So
Not anymore.
you can pull aside an actual. You could ask Ben Shapiro. He knows all about it. He'd be probably happy to tell
Jonathan
you all
Pollard.
about it. It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty nutty. Here's another one. Just to kind of move things along swiftly here. Let me share.
By the way,
this.
in case you didn't know, the rules for them to get to the next world to come, as Ben Shapiro put it, the Jewish people, is what rules do they have to follow? Anybody? Oh, that's right, none.
Yeah.
Neat.
Yeah, anything goes. So here's another. OpenAI's Sam Altman becomes latest tech executive involved in San Francisco government. How about that? So OpenAI CEO is joined a growing list of former tech leaders taking roles in San Francisco's government following this month's election. San Francisco Mayor-elect Daniel Lurie named Altman the head of artificial intelligence company behind ChatGPT as one of 7 co-chairs of his transition team. So the tech industry centralized in Silicon Valley, south of San Francisco, has increasingly moved into the city itself, creating tensions in a place once synonymous with hippies and counterculture. I was watching, I grabbed this YouTube video the other night, and it was of a street parade on Haight-Ashbury in San Francisco in 1993. And I saw all these people that I used to see on those streets. I saw people I recognized in this video. I was like, oh, there's that Grateful Dead hippie that was always, slinging white blotter LSD on the corner. And, there's the singer of that one band. It was crazy to see. It's not like that anymore. It does not look like that there anymore. And which is definitely an aside. But I mean, what's up with this, you guys? We've already covered these stories of tech, C-level tech people being just inducted into the military as officers and sent off to places to help manage the AI kill chain. Now they're sticking them in government transition boards. Sam Altman, of all people, like, that just does not even track for me. First off, you look at this guy's history and it is super sordid, and there are, enough stories in there that you would not want this person would be a toxic albatross around the neck of a transition team, I would think. But no.
Have you been paying attention, Hesher? I think he's fine material for the job. I mean,
you're going to get us more. You getting us more views tonight?
Think about it. Like there's news reports coming out of this big explosive insider report about how Sam Altman, everyone knows he's like a compulsive liar, all this weird stuff with was he the one with the sister, right? Yeah. So all of this sordid stuff, as you said, I'm like, oh yeah, man, he would make a great president, wouldn't he?
I mean, I guess he fits right in, and they're just not ashamed to invite someone like that in. Like, oh, you got a murder mystery in your family? That's interesting. Come on in. You fit right in with us.
And was Sam, which one of the two? Somebody remind me. Not that it matters that much, but it sort of sometimes does. Either Sam Altman or Peter Thiel, they did not openly come out as gay. They were outed as gay, and I can't remember which one of the two.
Oh, I couldn't.
They're very pissed off about it to this day.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you which one. I would imagine that would be Peter, but I might be wrong.
I think it was Peter, yeah.
Yeah, Sam seems to have no problem with everybody knowing his bedroom business.
I read something that, it was, I saved it on my clips. There's a new interview with the folks that were investigating Altman, and that apparently there was this hot tub jacuzzi that Altman was in with Thiel or something, where he was introduced to his husband, Altman, and that I watched Karen Huao, I think is her name, on Diary of a CEO. I like the channel for something different from Geopolitics and Empire, but interviewing these financial elites, and she talks about AI imperialism. And I've got her book. I just need to read it. But so a lot of people are saying he's sociopathic, but also he just recently gave an interview talking about, AI being this threat, and it can generate biological terror and this and that. And again, it's the same old formula. Give us world government, all of these threats, artificial intelligence, climate, pandemic, nukes. And there's a quote from him actually saying we need to build out a global governance structure because of the threat of AI. There's always the same. And I think I was talking with someone. Usually people in these positions are sociopathic narcissists. Like power, that's what power attracts. And then this is, I've been focusing as of late on alt media and the operations there. And that kind of helps explain why some people who seem so authentic, but the only way you can do that is to be a sociopathic narcissist. You'll do whatever for money and attention, and you'll come across as genuine, but you're like a psychopath. That kind of, for me, kind of explains why some of the people we've been duped by seem authentic. They're sociopaths.
That's consistent. I would agree with that. I like James Lee's post on this too. Remember when mobsters owned the mayor's office and the police in the 1930s? They could get away with basically anything, even murder. That's San Francisco today with Sam Altman and the tech oligarchs. It is a very similar setup, except the amount of reach and profit these guys have access to and influence is statewide, nationwide, and worldwide. Whereas the mafia was operating in, big cities, certain states, certain counties.
He can initiate the algocracy for us.
Right. Right. And Donald Trump is totally cool with that because he says he's willing to give up the freedoms afforded to him. What did he say in his post today or this week? He said, quote, "I am willing to risk the giving up of my rights and privileges as a citizen for our great military and country. Our military patriots desperately need FISA 702.
I can't make this
Okay.
up. Is that the same FISA 702 that was used by Obama to spy on Trump?
Well, it's interesting that you would ask that, Ruckus, because
It couldn't be.
chapter 1 is the one they used to spy on him. And chapter 702 apparently is the one that gives them access overseas, right? So I noticed today when I was looking at this actually that there's a fake a doctored version of his words running around from MAGABot accounts that altered that fundamental part right there. So like Anomaly, I believe, posted that version that I was just reading from, and someone came in underneath him and basically said, "Oh, you're wrong," and they posted a screenshot of the Trump, truth thing. And then someone else came through and said, "Well, here's a link to the actual one." And it's just slightly different enough that it doesn't. So yeah, there's MAGA bots and MAGA people that are spreading a slightly altered version of that one. And I'll put all those on the show page here.
The fog of information war or what?
Yeah, pretty much. Like there's a contradiction to everything that we can possibly find.
You put all of that into context with the Ashley St. Clair whistleblowing videos coming out at the same time. And I'm like, okay, this is all planned, right?
Yeah. Did you see that, Hervoy?
No.
Oh, man. Anyone...
It's a long video. We should probably just summarize that.
Yeah. Anyone that... it is a little bit too long to play, but anyone that's watched this show or Geopolitics and Empire, we've talked about this over and over again, like this whole concept of ambassadors and influencers and where their money comes from. Like we've applied this to so many current events over the years. And one of Elon's like in vitro baby mamas or whatever the heck kind of scheme he's got going to get his seed into all these young ladies. We lost the crow out there. What happened? They'll need to reconnect. Okay, he'll be back hopefully. But anyways, Ashley St. Clair, MAGA insider and Elon's baby mama, put a 4-minute video out, basically just laying out the structure of what it looks like to be a MAGA influencer and or ambassador, the ways they get paid, the kind of chat groups they're in, the ways that they promulgate talking points. And essentially in her case, I mean, some people are saying that sounds like you were groomed, but I don't know the timeline there. It's my understanding she was 19 when she was brought into that, so she is of her own volition as an adult.
TPUSA.
Yeah, into the TPUSA realm. Also cast a little bit of shade on that whole TPUSA cult. Little vindication on those that are questioning the TPUSA
Which is starting
cult.
to look like a clearinghouse, just saying.
Oh my gosh, you see those empty hallways when JD Vance was speaking this week? There's like that giant arena is just, only
from
maybe a quarter
clearinghouse
full.
to an empty warehouse, right?
Yeah. Well, we knew that would happen. That was easy to see coming. TPUSA just totally cleared out. Roy, before you bailed, we were just saying that Ashley.
I could hear you the whole time. It was
okay,
weird.
cool.
I was still here. My battery died, so I switched to my webcam. But it was like I was still here, but it wasn't allowing me to be in. Weird.
Okay, well, I don't have to catch you up then. You're with us. So, a little bit of the how soup to nuts on influencers there, how that actually works.
So yes, allegedly, apparently, remember how MAGA Republicans would like to share the, remember that old Nielsen media, what's that clip that everybody likes to play all the time? This is very dangerous to our democracy, where they're all reading the same thing off the same script. Well, guess what? MAGA influencers on X have been doing the same thing. And you see it too. You see like, oh, how come this looks like the exact same tweet? And it's literally copy and paste. They're literally given a script. They just repeat the same talking points. And why do they do it? Because they're given money. So the money is converted quite conveniently to all these things we've been discussing tonight. I mean, if you trace back all of the things and go to the root of what the cause is and what the motivating factor and what the tool is that's causing all it's money. And Rory, the Bible says, for the love of money is the root of all evil, right? Not the money itself.
So
somebody says, I'm extremely dangerous to our democracy. I'll take that.
And this is why I said earlier, I cited Dan Cohen. Someone sent me that today. I watched it, and I agree with what he's saying. And I think we need to start saying it more. Podcasting is, national security operations. I wrote my article. I've talked about this German bagman who's got endless funds, apparently, right? Who financed TNT Radio, UK Column, Whitney Webb. I've messaged with her. He gave her money. She said I can mention this publicly. He gave her a sizable donation, and she's like, okay, can you, for my own protection, because this can be an entrapment, who are you? And then he gave some vanilla response and said never donated again. And he's just giving a string of money to endless amount of podcast. And it's not like, I have a few people who have given me, $500 donation, even some of my guests who are founding members of my Substack. And if you've got money, usually the way it works, if you're wealthy and you like podcasters, you give money and you don't even tell it. Like, I didn't even know, one of my guests who I have on, he dropped a $500 donation, never even told me. Right. So he likes my work and he just gives me money, lets me do my thing. But this German bagman, he's getting involved in the operations. In some of the examples, he's wanting control. He's wanting equity. And then he's sabotaging stuff. And it's like that. And I've been kind of trying to second guess myself. Is this just some guy who really does like alt media? And he's just, but the more I talk with others involved, it just seems to be a bad actor.
And it's so you would think that it wouldn't be hard to suss that out, and that like someone that leaving a wake, a trail like that in their wake would eventually just be like, okay, but no, like it's so difficult for streamers and broadcasters and podcasters, especially in news, geopolitics, and cultural events, like so difficult for them to wrestle fiat out of the matrix, and so difficult for any sort of network to maintain actual editorial control once there's like investors and enough financial input. Like Mike Ryan from TNT, he strived for that. You know what I mean? Like I've sat with him in person and talked with him about how important that was to both of us. And he's one of the few people that's pulled a network together, like you know a network that could afford to pay people that worked their actual money and have a staff big enough to make a very professional looking output. And I respect Mike for that greatly, but it's like I've also have dealt with the kind of things that you're talking about, and known people that have really been handed the short stick on that sort of thing. The dream investor that wants editorial control and physical control and domain control. Like it's just like it's like dropping a hockey player into a hockey game that doesn't know how to play hockey, but they know how to throw punches, right? A goon. It's like a goon in the system. And it's amazing how much chaos a goon in the system can cause. It can literally implode networks of people who have put, hundreds and thousands of combined man hours into something and just destroy it. And I've seen that happen a whole bunch of times. And the crap thing is like, in the end, you're never really able to point your finger at the antagonist and go, that's the antagonist. And this was done on purpose. Like you just never get that. Like people feel that way, especially the people most deeply affected by it. And then they tell their stories sometimes, but it just looks like, we all can't get along in this swim lane and we can't do business and that kind of thing. It's just like this eternal sucking sound inside of our little swim lane on the interwebs. It's endlessly frustrating.
You've painted it so well, and some people have not particular to me, but they're saying, maybe I'm being divisive or whatever, but it's like, no, I don't think so, because I just thought of another example earlier today. I was at the Ron Paul Institute conference in 2023, and there's a guy called Gary Heaven, I believe, who's been involved in alt media. He's very wealthy man, and he even flies Ron Paul he's a pilot as well. He flies Ron Paul to the conferences. And as far as I know, I assume he donates quietly to the Ron Paul Institute, right? I'm sure he donates some sum. He doesn't ask for his name to be shown. He just quietly, he supports the Ron Paul cause. He gives him money, and that's it. That's it. That's like what a true donor does. Like, here's this money. I love your work. Keep doing what you're doing. But then I think it's when someone comes in and says, no, I want equity. I want you to sort of nudge this idea. That is really bad news. And I think we're onto something. So I think we need to be talking about it openly, just as a form of self-defense and protection, right? And fumigation, to rat out, to fumigate any bad actors. So
personally, I think us content creators need like a dead man switch telephone game password code words so we don't know we got switched out, body doubled by our AI digital twins.
Yeah, really, man.
I'm only half kidding too.
No, and it's like you think about how much money, right? Like how much venture capital money in advertising and influencer payment and all this stuff goes into the top tier most watched podcasts that are put out there as independent podcasts. You know what I mean? Think about how much money propagandists are willing to spend. We've seen this, right? $7,000 a post for some people, for some topics. That's, that's just one example of so many. So all this money goes into, creating the kind of bloated, overproduced, fake atmosphere of the top tier podcasts. And, I'm not trying to throw shade at you if you've got a nice Sean Ryan looking setup, we all appreciate that. We like good quality. You should go for good quality, but I'm talking about the sketchy, ones at the top of the tier right now, that if that much money would go into those things, and like these podcasts that have 5 lawyers sitting there, and 3 social media executives, and 4 line producers, and an executive producer, right, and a booker, like all that money going into those, is it really that off to think that a whole bunch of money and shady business would be going into suppressing the common man and woman podcast from entering that tier? You know what I mean? There's gatekeeping going on there, clearly. Why would this not be something that is as important to invest in suppressing as it is important to investment into elevating some of these other ones that, get red card, yellow card notices from executive producers and aren't in control of their booking and all that stuff?
Yes, and they have the algorithm to help them with the amplifying or de-amplifying. Like,
Right.
what we've all seen by now, this amazing high school teacher, professor, Chinese professor that came out of nowhere. I like the thesis that he is a Western manufactured persona. So
Mhm.
there's a good Substack called Political Economist. I think that's Substack.com. I think he's in South Africa, and he's done a detailed explanation. Like, it's weird that he was kicked out of China, then he's in Canada, US, Ivy League stuff. Yeah, you do not. I think we've all been around the block in that sense. You do not pop out of nowhere and go mega viral. That does not. And that's happened to me. Like, when in 2020, when my Francis Boyle interview went mega viral, they just shut it off. So that tells you right there, they shut off who they want to shut off. If that video was allowed to play its course on my YouTube would have grown. And they shut it off. And so why is it that this guy isn't shut off? So.
Which begs the question right now: why are Iranian Lego propaganda, cartoon propaganda films allowed to flourish, yet like someone like the young lady who wrote the beautiful song that Ruckus sent me recently gets her music taken down? She wrote a song called Dove of Peace, and then a follow-up to it, and she's having her account taken down all the time. So it's like and then of course we've got all these ISPs around here that won't let you go to RT.com, right? You can't watch Russian propaganda, but you can certainly get a whole bunch of Iranian propaganda cartoons, and it's just like, what is going on
Yeah,
here?
and the Iranian stuff sort of amplifies the official narrative. So it's like the World Wrestling Federation, the left-right paradigm. And I wasn't really taken in by the Lego stuff. I only watched a few, and I wonder sometimes, was that actually created by the CIA?
I know.
I don't know.
Are the Iranians even making this? It's too good. It's too good to be made by the CIA, is what most people are saying. Like, their stuff is trash now.
Burning Beard says those Lego videos are Western creations. So
Yeah, people are wondering. Like, really? We can't go to RT.com and read news articles there, but we can be force-fed Lego videos? I don't know.
While our government, who knows very damn well that the people here in this country have seen those videos, and they're telling us that Iran can't meme. Their propaganda game is weak. We've got the better. Okay, come on. You're gaslighting us so bad.
Like, compare one of those videos to his Truth Social alone, and it's just like, oh, okay. Randy, have you seen these things, these Lego videos that are supposedly coming from Iranian accounts? Do we still have Randy J? Randy J, are you with us? Should I play one while we wait for him to come back?
Maybe he passed out.
He overdosed on Boiler Room, perhaps. All right. Well, we'll watch the newest one because maybe some people haven't seen them yet. Maybe Randy J hasn't seen it yet. Here we go.
Shall we do with the drunken Hexeth? What shall we do with the drunken Hexeth? What shall we do with the drunken Hexeth? Early in the morning, way, hey, and up she rises, way, hey, and up she rises, way, hey, and up she rises. Early in the morning, he was drinking on the fox set before the showtime. He was drinking on the fox set before the showtime. He was drinking on the fox set.
Yeah, I can't do it. I'll let it run in the background as B-roll or something. But there you go. It's a whole couple minutes of.
I'd like to find out if this is from the Explosive Media Group or not, because this one doesn't seem as good as the other ones that I've seen.
Right. I know. That's the other thing. It's hard to keep track of. There's all these like wannabe ones out there.
And we didn't bring up, like, I'm just flabbergasted. At this point, I'm convinced they are intentionally using the Trump administration to mock Christianity. Like, is it true that the Hexeth's prayer was Samuel L. Jackson's Pulp Fiction prayer that's not even in the Bible?
I got it.
100%.
Like, that's a total mockery. And then there are endless examples. You know, we all the old Paula White
Dr.
stuff.
Trump, Dr. Jesus Trump. How about that?
Dr. Jesus, dude. Did you see that?
Yeah. It's,
oh my gosh. Oh my God. Okay, here we go. So I think this account probably just reposting this. I don't know if he's the original poster, but Morning Joe put together clips of Pete Hegseth reciting a fake Bible quote from Pulp Fiction along with Samuel L. Jackson scene from the movie. So yeah, here you go. Put that on the screen here for you. Just so you can like hear it side to side with the original.
Hegseth recited a version of Ezekiel 25:17 that actually comes from Jules Winfield, played by Samuel L. Jackson, with Hegseth even claiming it was used in a real combat rescue mission. The line is a stylized rewrite and not a real verse from the Bible.
They call it Caesar 25:17, which I think is meant to reflect Ezekiel 25:17.
Ezekiel 25:17.
The path of the downed aviator is beset on all sides.
The path of the righteous man is beset on all sides
by the iniquities of the selfish and the tyranny of evil men.
By the iniquities of the selfish and the tyranny of evil men.
Blessed is he who in the name of camaraderie and duty shepherd the lost through the valley of darkness. For he is truly his brother's keeper and the finder of lost children.
Blessed is he who in the name of charity and goodwill shepherds the weak through the valley of darkness, for he is truly his brother's keeper and the finder of lost children.
And I will strike down upon thee with great vengeance and furious anger those who attempt to capture and destroy my brother.
And I will strike down upon thee with great vengeance and furious anger those who attempt to poison and destroy my brothers.
And you will know my call sign is Sandy 1 when I lay my vengeance upon thee.
And you will know my name is the Lord when I lay my vengeance.
Muted.
I'll stop that right there. I think we get the point there, Hegseth.
But like anytime I see him come out in any function, you can see a smirk on his face, can't you? Like he's taking the piss on all of us. It's honestly, it's just mind blowing, you know.
To your point, Hervori, I think that a lot of, I think that the creation of the nation state of Israel from its birth was intended to ultimately lead to people hating God, hating Christianity. A lot of this serves a purpose, you know what I mean? But yeah, because like it's the Christian element, the Zionism, the Christian Zionism, the dispensational futurism, whatever the official term for all of this is, this belief of the rebuilding of the third temple and the rapture and the second coming of Jesus and all these things, you know, all these various interpretations that are used to justify these wars and to allow, oh yeah, it's totally okay for Israel to do what they do because they're God's chosen people and all of this stuff. It's just like it's a useful tool for the devil. But at the end of the day, sure, people are already upset at the Israel thing, right? And the Israel people, and then all of that thing. Yes, we know that exists that throughout history. The noticing, all the things, right? Take that aside. Around the world, when the world is so freaking fuming mad at what has just taken place, all the murdered people, all the women and the children and the death and the destruction, who was ultimately responsible, the blame is not going to be solely placed on Israel. And even if it is, who is Israel according to their official story? Oh, that's God's chosen people. So can we blame the people, or maybe we should just blame God, right? Okay, and how about these Christians who support, well, that crazy that they would have not gotten away with it because there has been some restraint for some time until very recently, but it's because of this wild, crazy fervor, this Christian Zionism, which is what's the word I'm looking for? Religious fanaticism, which are the same words that these people use and accuse the Islam faith of being without any evidence. How many people have spent the time to actually talk to somebody of an Islam faith? We can each have our own faiths or discussions about this, but when you look at it, at the end of the day, the one that has caused the most amount of harm, destruction, and terror, death, just horrible evils in the name of a religion, it's laced with Christianity. And I don't think that's by accident. And I think it's Satan who's doing that, and clearly not God, And
I just add here, I want to read something a friend of mine sent me. So, I don't necessarily have anything wrong with let's say, with the state of Israel as it was. And, my initial thought is like, why not give the other Palestinians and people living in Gaza, West Bank, give them equal citizenship, right? And let them be as prosperous as the rest of Israel. But as you say, where they are going with this just expansion is crazy. And then so I was sent this message from a friend of mine. I believe he lives in Texas, actually. And I've known him. He used to be a pastor for health reasons and others. He had to step down. And he's a very serious evangelical preacher man and missionary. So he's a very somber and serious person. And he sends me this. It's just again, thought experiment. He quotes from the Bible. He says, Revelation 13:3, one of its heads seemed to have a mortal wound, but its mortal wound was healed, and the whole earth marveled as they followed the beast. Then he says, sounds like the modern nation state of Israel. The world marvels that after so long it was revived since AD 70. This nation seems to be the head and center of the beast, the political and military system of this world. Everything about them is counterfeit, a counterfeit fulfillment of prophecy. The Old Testament promise of the Jews' return to the land were fulfilled when they came back to the land under Cyrus, and will be consummately fulfilled in the new creation, which was typified by the land of Israel. And he quotes Romans 4:13, Hebrews 11:9. Second point, a counterfeit people, the true seed of Abraham, are those in Christ, Jews and Gentiles, who have believed. Christ regards unbelieving Jews, especially the non-elect, as Gentiles. Another point, a counterfeit temple. There is no New Testament expectation of an architectural temple. Jesus is the true temple, and so is his church, his body, and so on and so forth. And then he says, John 1:2, who is the liar but he who denies that Jesus is the Christ? This is the Antichrist, he who denies the Father and the Son. And his final comment is, even false religions like Islam claim that their version of Jesus is the Messiah, but there is one religion that has rejected his messiahship for 2,000 years. So that's an interesting kind of, again, thought experiment, because I don't think anyone knows for certain, all elements of eschatology and who's the beast and this or that. But as the events are progressing, as we're seeing, right, as Israel Pax Judaica, right, as they become imperial, we're seeing now, Netanyahu himself, right, was talking about this in recent weeks, then see, this is kind of what I do. I track real events and then see if they match up with the Bible. It's like the puzzles, does this match? Oh, no, it doesn't. I'm throwing that piece away. Does this match? Oh, it matches perfectly, right? And so it's like, I'm sticking with this piece. How about this piece? And so again, it's interesting. No.
Very interesting. This fits right in too. In the last 10 days, they have come for Christians and Muslims and have portrayed Trump as Jesus quartered the book of Tarantino. Yes. I
think they
mean,
meant quoted.
Yeah, quoted. More like quartered at that point. For we could do either. Yeah, okay, let's see. Let me scroll down to the bottom of the chat here. Okay, what else did we get? We got Jesus Trump. I don't even want to. You saw the Jesus. We all saw the Jesus Trump thing, right? Did you see the slurry of AI slop coming out, like Dr. Trump, Medicine Jesus, and stuff like that? That was kind of funny. At least we have that. We lost a couple politicians to their proclivities and crimes. Eric Swalwell and Tony Gonzalez both having to resign under some pretty nasty allegations and such. That's all really gross. Let's see. One of those was a Republican, right? And that's like the that's the MAGA party right there, right? The MAGA party of evangelical do-gooders, right? Well, apparently he's got prostitutes running around his personal home and stuff.
Which one was Gonzalez, right?
Yeah, Tony Gonzalez says he'll retire. He's been called. They've been bipartisanly been called for his expulsion, though. So yeah, he's retiring, and then Eric Swalwell. So there you go. Just,
and the aforementioned Pulp Fiction Pete, there's articles of impeachment that have been put forward to get him out, which will probably go nowhere.
Yeah, probably. Let's see here. Yeah, I think that's it. I'm gonna let you guys go unless you guys got anything else for me. We didn't cover the missing and dead nuclear scientists. That's pretty much all else I got.
11 now, I heard.
Yeah, something like that.
That's getting really wild, though. I tell you what, the missing scientists. There was a senator or a congressman, don't remember who it was. I saw the clip about it, but they're actually talking about this now. Like, hey, this is concerning. They're like, we're noticing this trend here with these 11 missing or dead scientists or something, and it's like it's just getting nuts. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, right there. Trump orders probe into mysterious deaths of U.S. nuclear scientists. At least 10 experts linked to classified aerospace and nuclear programs have died or gone missing since 2023. I'll link this on the show page so you folks can dig a little deeper. Awake Jake wants to know, Hesher, can we ask Hervoy to plug his collaboration with Monica Perez for their podcast, Cognitive Dissonance? Folks here might be interested.
Oh, by the way, Hesher, during this call, one of the folks who likes Boiler Room, Pamela, says big time Boiler Room fan. Just heard you have a Substack, so subscribed with thanks. You became a paid subscriber. Do I have to give you a cut?
No, man. That's you earned that one.
Was that Pamela Drew?
I don't know.
Probably. She also has her own Substack and tracks news and does some good work. So
yeah, look there.
It was her. Yeah. And the cognitive. Yeah, we try to do twice a month. Monica Perez and Parallel Mike. A cognitive. I just just before joining this call, I published our latest, and people seem to enjoy that because we're consistent, and it's easier to do a tight ship with just three of us. Kind of, when it gets bigger, it's kind of becomes more difficult. And we started it thanks to the fake staged assassination in Butler.
All right.
And so, yeah. And it was funny. By the way, this was a great clip. Did you see Jesse Ventura with Piers Morgan a few weeks back?
I did. Yeah.
And he said blading. Like, I didn't know about blading until I was investigating Butler. And I'm like, oh, no, Trump was bladed. And Jesse Ventura, who was WWF, right, he recognized that it was blading. It was totally blading.
And for those that weren't WWF kids like us, that was one of the ways in which you would get blood on the mat, and blood involved in the acrobatics and performance of WWF. Somebody would have a little razor blade, and certain things like, spots on your chest, earlobes, parts of your hands and arms and legs are safe to cut. And that is a theatrical way to make that happen. And yep, definitely I caught that. That was pretty interesting, man. I'll see if I can find that clip and I'll throw it on tonight's show notes.
And interestingly enough, to cap off what we were just discussing there about the religious stuff, what purpose, if, just say, so I'm not saying it was or it wasn't, but if that was a staged event, why? What was the purpose of that? Well, what was the end result? Oh, the talking points, you can find the videos, all of the religious leaders in Americans, he was saved by God. God saved him. Thank God for this miracle. It was all about God and a miracle, and he turned his head at just the right second. Yeah, so there you have it. Which again led to all the problems that we're seeing right here, right now.
Right. The whole TPUSA evangelical high horse that, they would like to psyop the audience into thinking is popular fits right in with that, doesn't it?
But I'm sure it was just some lunatic that was just trying to kill the president,
Right? There's just organic, and then, there's this apotheosis moment because only God could have intervened, right? Certainly not a tiny razor blade.
It was a lucky thing they had that American flag set up right there for that iconic photo. Anyways.
Fight. Did they have fight.com or .gov already set up before
He's
that?
He's got a crypto, bro. He's a meme coin.
Yeah. Well, yes, I think we're up to 11, just to sneak forward on this and close that one out. A possible 11th case of a missing scientist. Daily Mail reported that Amy Eskridge, a 34-year-old scientist allegedly researching anti-gravity technology, was found dead in Alabama in 2022 from a self-inflicted gunshot. However, the outlet found that neither the police nor medical examiners had released a public investigative report on the incident. And before her death, Eskridge stated on a podcast that her life was in danger. So little tidbits like that amongst the other, missing and dead scientists. And frankly, I find this whole topic very confusing because, like, sometimes you look at it and you see the list and you're like, oh my God, that's not good. And then you'll see, like, a more extended look at some of them and it's like, well, that's normal. Are they trying to make me, feel like there's something afoot? But, that ball seems to go up and down like everything else. So now we're taking it seriously, I guess, in the media this week, whereas last week that we weren't. I just don't know, you guys.
My spidey sense is tingling because they've added this new flavor that nobody really noticed at first, or I didn't anyways. There was a lot of the mainstream reports were indicating that some of them were nuclear scientists and this and that. It turns out a lot of them are into a lot of exotic technology, exotic energies, a lot of UFO kind of related stuff. And Trump just came out and dropped some more UFO garbage, like whisperings or hintings of, I forget what he said. He's like, huge news coming on the UFO front. It's gonna be the best UFO ever or something.
There's
like
always a JPL scientist in there, or 3 or 4. There's one in this article. Yeah. Anti-gravity technology. Oh, it's just someone that was working in anti-gravity technology. Like, can you expand on that?
And if there was a fake alien invasion and they were zapping people, what if, like, you were one of the ones like, hey, that looks a lot like my anti-ray batter thing that I created last year,
And then the Mars Attacks guy comes by and goes, doo, 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 and you explode. All right, let's wind this up. Randy J, are you still with us? Did you come back? Are you here lurking? Randy J, lurker? No?
He must be out.
All right. Good night, Randy J. Thanks for joining us tonight. Randy J is outside the building now. Over to you, to the Croat. Save Round's final thoughts. Anything you want to throw out there, man? Any websites, things, new interviews you want people to go watch?
Geopoliticsnempire.com, geopoliticsnempire.substack.com. I'm on the X's active telegrams. We got 13,000 folks down there, and that's about it. Have a wonderful weekend, everyone. Stay thirsty, my friends.
All right. Thanks, man. Thanks for hanging with us tonight. Great having you. There he goes. Geopolitics and Empire is the place. Find it on the web, on the pods, on the streamers, and on the Substack. Ruckus, over to you, man.
Look, it's 3 hours, 13 minutes. What can we do for the next 20 minutes just to freak people out? The show says 3:33. No, I'm just kidding. Thanks a lot for having me. Earlier today, I was having some fun in our Discord server. So yes, please come join our Discord server. You can find an invite link to that at our website, alternatecurrentradio.com. Of course, up in the hamburger menu, you go down, you'll see join our Discord server. If you're into that kind of thing, it's kind of like a cool live chat, except going on all the time with like a million different rooms and things. If you get lost, flag us down. We'll show you around. It's fun. But I was in there laughing it up with the guys today because I saw this thing on X. It's an old topic that we've covered multiple times, I think, on icebreakers and other things here on this program. But it was this guy talking about how to, he was showing the guys who might be interested on what's up with this, how to energize their butthole, right? Sunning the taint, right? Because you stick your butt out in the sun, and we've talked about this before, right? So two things is that I was joking with some of my buddies in my own personal Discord server. They're crossover buddies. They're also members of our server, but I have a little group where we're trying to come up with a business idea. And I thought, man, the sunning of your taint is a great idea, but what happens if the sun doesn't come out that day? So I was thinking maybe we need to get together and create some sort of portable like taint sunning device. What do you think? I mean, who would you buy that, Hesher?
What do you mean? I already own 6 of them.
Okay. Well, maybe it could be like a patch, like because wearables are hot right now. It could be like a smart patch, like a taint patch. You put it on, and it's like red light therapy, and you can like connect it to your smartphone. There'll be an app for that. And then, of course, Palantir, Peter Thiel will have access to that data, and God only knows what they're going to do with that. In fact, now that I think about it, this whole thing sounds like it can't be real. I don't believe this for a second. Do people? You let me know. You let us know in the comments or send us emails. Do you know somebody who actually does this? Here's what I think, Hesher. I think this is a troll move. I think it's either NASA or NSA or whoever it is in the government that has access to those really fancy, schmancy like satellites that can see like the back of like a dime on the sidewalk, like from Eagle Eye. I think they created this. It's kind of like the birds aren't real. It's like a fake thing. They created this whole manosphere. Let's get everybody to go out there and show off their buttholes, and we're going to take pictures of them and laugh at them when we blackmail them later so that they get their free universal basic income. Anyways, I'll leave you all with Bill Cooper's favorite quote: "Read everything, listen to everybody. Don't believe anything until you prove it for yourself using your own research." Ruckus out.
All right, there he goes. Thanks, Ruckus, and thank you for being with us tonight. Appreciate everybody in the Discord, everybody on the Rumble chat, everybody on the YouTube chat. Wonderful to be here with you, and I hope you all have a great weekend, and I hope you join us for Sunday Wire, which should be happening live at 9 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Central, noon Eastern, and 5 p.m. UK time on Sunday. So join us for that, and be sure and hit the Alternate Current Radio website. Be sure to hit the like, the subscribe. Thank you to everybody that dropped live comments. If you want to drop any after the fact comments, please do so. And we'll see you again real soon here in the boiler room. Peace out.
That's it. Go ahead and run. Run home and cry to mama.